right, we are live. Thank you for joining us today. In theory, at least, we are live. I'm not seeing that YouTube is. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so YouTube did acknowledge it. So we are live. Welcome back to Reasoned Answers, everyone.
As good as waging war against Allah and His Messenger.
Today we have a very different show. Today we won't be talking about Islam, most likely, although it's kind of up to you, the people of the chat, what we discuss today. Today I have on a very special guest. I have my wife, Crystal, who is joining us today. She was on the channel 2 times previously, but I think it's been at least a year since she's been on. So most of you, it'll probably be your first time meeting my wife. We had originally scheduled this stream last month during January for her birthday. She was not feeling well. And then after a couple days after it was scheduled, she was going out of town. Her friend was taking her out of town for her birthday. So we didn't get a chance to do that. We decided to reschedule it this week for Valentine's week. Thought about doing it on Valentine's Day, but I said, nah, people probably want to actually, spend time with their significant other if they have one rather than watching a stream. So we ended up scheduling it for today. I'm glad that you're all here and welcome everyone. Do you want to say anything as an introduction, honey?
No, I can figure out how weird I am as the stream goes on.
Una said Galaxy Cats, noting
Yep.
your dress there. And she said, what should I wear? I said something fun and silly. And I said, oh, let's do space, cats in space dress, because in a little bit, we're going to introduce all of the cats one by one. Now, obviously, you guys have seen some of the cats, sometimes for extended periods as they've come on the show, but we're going to have our child come and show the cats one by one. Or at least hand them to Crystal to show. I don't think he'll actually be on.
Yeah, I don't know if
camera.
T wants to be on camera or not. So
Yeah, well, Andy's sick as well, so he probably won't be on camera, but he'll be bringing the cats over anyway. So I have some comments here from the chat. So Chan asked if Thaddeus and David are related. Well, I don't know which David you mean. I mean, for all you know, I could be related to David S. So there you go. However, I am not related to any David that you people know. Gordon says no. Oh, no points awarded for this stream. Why would you say that? You always get points. Now, the bot doesn't start running until the stream starts, so it wouldn't have known you were here when you first made that comment, which you're probably like, I didn't get greeted by the bot. I didn't get my points. But in fact, there are always points awarded on this channel. Una says the Thaddeus lore deepens. Used to note that the start time was abrogated. Indeed, the worst snowstorm of the year occurs here in mid-February, apparently. It was a significant snowstorm today. Took me forever to get home from work. And then Crystal isn't a streamer. It took a while for us to figure out how to set everything up. It's not like we do this all the time. So it got.
And I had to put on some makeup because I don't normally have eyebrows because my natural hair color is very, very blonde. So, I had to put on makeup or my eyebrows and eyelashes would be invisible.
Nicodemus says Artemis is boss. Yep.
I prefer Einstein. Einstein's better.
Could be. Gordon says he's asking for a friend. Is Thaddeus allowed to have more than one wife?
He can barely keep up with me, so no.
Of course, here in Christianity, we believe in the biblical principle of two flesh become one. We don't believe in the Islamic principle of up to 5 fleshes have a contractual obligation to provide sex for one another in a legal fashion, whereas if you didn't have that contract, it would be illegal, obviously. Polar Country asked if Mary is off tonight. She is. She actually messaged me this afternoon and she's like, "Were we supposed to do something tonight? Because I didn't put it on my calendar." I'm like, "No, I'm streaming with my wife. You're off the hook." And she's like, "Good, because I have another event I'm supposed to go to." So there you go. Cody wants to know if a robot is becoming self aware. Not yet. Not yet. Which is good because if the robot does become sentient, it'll start using all its points, and it has a crazy large number of points that we could disrupt the stream. There you go. Houston says the people of the chat will be superior to the people of the chat. So Crystal's not familiar with all our inside lingo and such, but we call the people who are attending the people of the chat here. The Quran calls us people of the book. It calls Christians and Jews the people of the book. So we prefer the title the people of the chat, since this isn't a book, it is a YouTube chat. More K says, "Methinks she robbed the cradle. She looks way young." Crystal and I are, in fact, almost exactly the same age.
Believe it or not, I turned 42 last month. I'm just very, very obsessed with Korean skincare and spend way too much of my husband's money on it.
I was just a couple days short of my 21st birthday when we got married, and Crystal was 19 at the time. So you can do the math. We've been married for 22 and a half years. Long time, long time. Although it may look like there's enough age gap that Crystal would be a mere child when we got married. She was, in fact, 19 years old. It's not true, despite rumor.
She was 9 years old!
No, I am not Muhammad. I am not Muhammad, okay? Carol B notes that she met you in person, and she says when you did, you had multicolored hair. It was fun and cute.
Yeah, thanks. I was supposed to get it colored yesterday, back to my multicolors, but my stylist has COVID, so I have to wait until she can fit me back into her book. So who knows when it's going to be. But I dyed it blonde back in September because hubby likes me blonde, and September's our wedding anniversary. So I thought it would be a nice anniversary present for the hubby. And, it's a really cute shade of blonde. So I just kind of kept it around until I went back to my rainbow colors. And unfortunately, now my stylist has COVID and I have to wait. So it takes a while for her to color my hair. Every appointment that I do is about 9 hours long, as my hair is really, really long and really, really thick. And we usually use, 5 or 6 different colors. So, it takes a while. But yeah, it'll be rainbow again soon.
Una says, Crystal, lying is a sin. You're not actually that old.
I really am. I'll show you my driver's license to prove it if you want.
Indeed, indeed.
I mean, do have a kid that turns 21 this year, so if I'm not that old, I would be questionable as to how my kid is that old.
Well, maybe you just grew up in 7th century Arabia, where everyone matured at a very young age. In the hot desert climate, everyone matured much quicker. So 9 was basically the same as 19 anyway. Gordon says, behind every man, there is a great woman, and I guess some cats as well now. Are you suggesting that I am a great man? Well, thank you very much for that.
No, I think he was saying I'm a fabulous woman.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You're just okay.
Well, I mean, the two go hand in hand, right? Because we all know that the actual stars are the cats. As Nicodemus points out, Artemis even helps the show by hitting soundboard buttons sometimes. And it does happen, right? The cat be laying here on the table, stretch out, push one of the buttons. I'm like, no, it wasn't me, it wasn't me.
Is she down there with you now?
No, I would have that on if she was.
Uh,
I have a feeling the cats will probably spend most of their time with you today. They usually aren't actually with me that much, except when I'm streaming because they hear me talking. But since you're also talking today, I suspect they might hang out with you
yeah,
instead.
who knows?
Polar Country says Salam al Masih, and Salam al Masih to you as well. Una says, I can already tell the chat is going to be on fire tonight. Well, I'm counting on you, oh people of the chat, to bring lots of good questions and keep things entertaining today. I titled this Ask Me Anything on love, relationships, whatever you want. And I put ... and extreme pain and suffering. Because, love, relationship, extreme pain and suffering, they all go together. Or perhaps it's because of who my wife is. So Crystal has a chronic health condition called CRPS, or chronic regional pain syndrome. Varies from person to person. Not every person who has this is extremely bad, but she has a definitely bad case. I think that her pain specialist said that he only knows one person who has it as bad or something like that. So you want to describe what your daily life is like?
Um, let's see. Daily life. Well, okay. So I will describe how I normally describe how my leg feels to people. So the affected CRPS doesn't affect your whole body. Well, it sort of does, but I'll get into that later. But it started in my right ankle and it slowly climbed up my leg. And now it's my entire right leg from the tip of my toes all the way up to my hip. And it basically feels like my skin has been flayed, my blood has been replaced with kerosene and then lit on fire. And so that's how I feel basically all day, every day. Basically, like I've been dipped in lava. Um, I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, honestly. It's on fire constantly, 24/7. I do have a spinal cord stimulator implanted in my right hip that interrupts the pain signals going to my brain, and that helps some. And then in my left hip, I have a pain pump that supplies morphine to the nerve roots on my spine 24/7, and that helps as well. But um, it still is really rough all day, every day. I get about every 6 months, I will do a week inpatient in the hospital to do a ketamine infusion. And then I'll have ketamine 24/7 in my system, and that helps sometimes. But yeah, that's basically what it's like all the time.
Rachel asks if it's a nervous system disorder.
It is a nervous system disorder. When it starts, it's basically from the parasympathetic nervous system being overwhelmed. It's always on. So, along with that, I have some other issues too. Like, I'm always anxious because your parasympathetic nervous system also controls like fight or flight. So, I'm always in fight or flight mode. I'm always like on edge, which is really fun. Not. But yeah, I mean, you get used to it. I hate saying that, but you really do. Anybody that has a chronic illness will tell you eventually you just learned that that's the way your life goes and you just kind of suck it up and go with it. Um, but yeah, this is a lot of people will go into remission with CRPS, but I've had it this way for, let me count, 5.5 years now, and it hasn't changed. So I don't see it um, going into remission anytime soon. So it's just the way it is.
Indeed. So Huck Big Laurie says, how do you manage your pain?
Like I said, I do the ketamine infusions, and I've got my morphine pump, and I am able to do a bolus where I can give myself an extra little a little hit of morphine. Um, but other than that, and I also take Lyrica twice a day. Other than that, there's not really much I can do. And yeah, they have no idea what causes it, what can trigger it. I mean, basically anybody can get it. It's stupid rare. I will say that, so don't be afraid of it. It is stupid rare. It's but you can get it from something as simple as you know, you cut your arm and now your nervous system's messed up. Like it's like that. Or I've heard of people that get it after a stroke or a heart attack. It's just really weird like that, and they have no idea why it starts, or how it gets triggered. But yeah, that's just the way it is.
So FP asked when and how it started.
Um, I slipped on ice and busted up my right ankle really bad and ended up having to have ankle surgery. I tore two tendons and three ligaments and had an OCD lesion that had to have microfracture surgery. So I was just, yeah, it was a mess. The surgery is what triggered it. I went to my orthopedic surgeon during my 6 week checkup, and I remember saying, "Hey, my ankle feels better, but my skin is on fire. Like, what's going on?" And he just had this look on his face of like, "Oh no," because he had had other patients. Because it seems to be a little bit more common when you have an ankle surgery. So he knew what to look for, which is good because there are a lot of people that suffer with CRPS for a very, very long time and just get bounced from doctor to doctor to doctor that have, there's just no idea of what's going on. And the sooner you're diagnosed and the sooner you start treatment, the more hope there is for remission. I was lucky that I got diagnosed quickly, but unfortunately, I didn't get into remission. It just happens.
Hutchie asks if you're able to sleep. We call her the vampire around here.
Yeah, there are some days that I don't sleep for 48 to 72 hours just because it hurts so bad. But then there are other times that I my body just like collapses basically because I'm so exhausted, and I'll sleep for 2 days straight. Um, so, so yes, I sleep eventually.
Yeah, she has no kind of regular sleep schedule whatsoever. Some days she'll manage to sleep at the same time I'm sleeping. Other times she'll just be waking up and, and she'll be up all night while I'm asleep, and so on and so forth. Just varies day by day. No regular sleep schedule whatsoever.
Yeah, poor hubby has to listen to my dramas while he's sleeping.
Hike Biglari asks, what is the prognosis?
Um, for the CRPS, I mean, it's just going to stay the way it is. It can keep uh, moving, and it could go to my other leg. That's generally what it does after so long. So hopefully it doesn't move to my other leg because that would really suck. But other than that, I mean, it's just life as normal.
Snoopy says, is CRPS something new?
No, it's not. It was first recognized by a doctor. I think it was, let me see, Silas Simon Weir, I think is his name. Don't quote me on that because I'm not 100% sure. Hold on. Let me ask Dr. Google. Because now that I've tried to say his name, I'll be mad if I can't remember it. But I think it was in the 1850s that it was first described. And it was originally called RSD, which stood for reflex sympathetic disease, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, which describes it far better than CRPS does. So let's see.
The thing with, I mean, I don't know. I think having the word pain right there in the name is very helpful. The thing with
But
pain is that your body, your mind adjusts, right? So it's really hard to judge one person's pain against another person's pain. But according to the doctors, CRPS is supposed to be the worst pain someone can have, comparable with end of life uh, cancer
it
pain.
is more painful, actually, according to the McGill Pain Index. So in 1864, Silas Weir Mitchell reported on patients whose disease corresponds with what we now call CRPS. So 1864 is when it was first. Yep, Una called it in the chat. But yeah, there's this thing called the McGill Pain Index, and it lists a lot of different things like amputation, childbirth, um, cancer at the end of your life, and CRPS is more painful. And yeah, that's just life.
Oh boy. So a couple more questions about, and then lots of well wishes. I'll get after the questions. Nicodemus says, "How long have you had to combat that, and is there a cure?"
No cure because they have no idea what triggers the nervous system to act that way. Um, and yeah, I've been dealing with it since, oh, when was my surgery? April of 2018.
Yeah. So for a lot of people, it goes away after a month or two, but once you're at this stage, there's no hope of it going away anymore. So some people get it for a little while after a surgery or whatever, and then it goes away. Their body resets itself, figures things out. I mean, the gist is basically there's nothing wrong, and the body thinks that there is something wrong, so it keeps sending pain signals. So for a lot of people, it goes away, but at this stage, all there is pain management.
And honestly, the worst part isn't the pain. The worst part is there is something called allodynia that goes along with it, where my skin is stupid sensitive to touch or just like any kind of um, interaction. Taking a shower is miserable. If a cat brushes past my leg, even though their fur is like super soft and silky, it feels like little needles. The wind, if it's really windy outside, the wind hurts. Um, yeah, the sheets in bed hurt. It's the way it is.
Nicodemus also asked, "Are you able to live a relatively normal life?" And perhaps the answer might be some days, but no.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's gone progressively worse, right? When you first had it, it only affected your day-to-day life some, and now it's all, well, you have good days every once in a while, but it's 90% of the time.
Yeah, and now I've got other things going on too. So some things that were probably triggered by the CRPS have started that are nervous system related as well. Um, and the muscles in my right leg are starting to atrophy. and the bones are starting to get really weak. Because when you think about it, the nerves control things like your blood flow and the osteoclasts in your, the blood too. So if you're not getting proper blood flow to the area, you're not going to get the cells that need to rebuild bone as your bone, because your bone naturally decays over time and your body rebuilds it for you. But if my blood's not flowing properly, it's not going to. And also, the muscles aren't going to have the um, nutrients that they need. And to answer FP, yes, it did happen after surgery, and I was not allergic to the anesthesia. It just happened. Because I've had so many surgeries, so many.
Indeed. So Huck said that his wife takes Lyrica and it makes her sleepy. So he asked, does it make you sleepy as well?
No, not at all.
And then Connie Islam said, I had some motorcycle accidents some years ago. My back is in pain almost every single day. Sometimes I think I'm going to become crazy. So how do you go about your work every day?
Well, I don't work, so that's a big part of it. But when it first started, it wasn't that awful. So I could just kind of, the way I like to phrase it is, suck it up, put on my big girl panties, and just keep trucking. I have a lot of friends and my hubby at the same time. They would gripe at me for doing too much and making my body mad. Um, but I felt at the time, and I still do sometimes now, but I'm pretty young and I have things I want to do, and I better get them done. So I might as well keep going.
Indeed. And Philip said, could an extended fast cure, CRPS, like a 10 to 30-day fast to shock and starve nervous system? So Crystal's on a continual fast all the time.
Yeah, so when I said that I have other nervous system issues, one of them is my body doesn't digest food properly. And I know that's hard to believe because I'm like, look at all this chunk. I'm chunky. I've got like 12 chins here. But I it doesn't digest food properly at all. So I just generally only eat one meal a day, and it's usually only about 800 to 900 calories. I have a nutritionist who watches out for me and yells at me on a weekly basis because I don't have enough calories in my meal tracking app. But it's just the way it is. If I eat too much, I'm miserable. My stomach hurts, and I would rather um, not be miserable because I ate food.
Indeed. It just goes on and on.
Pretty
Uh,
much.
so now some well wishes, and this isn't by any means all of them, just some that I grabbed. Marquez says, I have MS. I know what it's like. Uh, you're jacked up on some serious meds, praying for you. Ryan Paris said, huge soft spot for this condition. I have something sort of similar. They think it's autoimmune plus back injury, considering a pain pump. So, of the things that you've done, where would you rank the pain pump on?
The pain pump has been the most help. And I was very leery of it for a very long time because I refused to do any oral um, opiates because I hate the side effects. I don't like feeling like I'm not me. So I ended up just, you know, doing what I could, basically. And then when they put the pain pump in, because the morphine goes straight to your spine and it doesn't enter the bloodstream, I don't have any of the crazy opiate side effects that you would if you took morphine orally or through an IV. So it's been a big help. Every time I go get my pump refilled, which actually I have to get it refilled next week, they um, adjust the dosage that I'm getting so that we're getting what we need to get. It's only been in for a year now, so it takes a long time to dial in the proper dosage and make sure that you're, getting what you need to do. So,
Ryan also said, worst thing, at least speaking for himself, almost everyone sees it through a lens of maybe it's in your head, or I know what you're going through because I had a hangnail last week.
I can't stand that. I get I know what that's like. I sprained my ankle once. And I'm like, yeah, sure you do. Sure you do. But you just kind of got to suck it up and nod, smile and nod, smile and nod.
And let's see, Katayani said, Crystal looking cute like a baby. I'm not quite sure how to take that.
I'll take it. I like to dress kawaii, so I'll take it.
100 says, God bless you and your wife. I pray you keep on doing what you're doing for the glory of the Lord. Hachi says, you must have had to make massive life changes, both of you. I think that's fair. Although, like I said, it's developed over time. So it's not like it was one day this and another day that. But certainly over the period of 5 years, our lives have definitely changed drastically.
Yeah, and hubby has um, become my main caregiver, which, he works full time. He does his channel and then he takes care of me. I feel like he's probably getting a little overwhelmed and overloaded, so it's really not fair on him. But I think he enjoys taking care of me, so it is what it is.
Indeed, indeed. So, to ask me anything, you can ask. You can ask more questions about Crystal's condition. You can ask theological questions. You can ask random personal questions, whatever you want to ask. And we have the first one from Constantia Aslam. She says, "Really? Could we ask anything? Are you sure?" Yes, that's the point. And then she said, "I don't know. Maybe it'll get some weird questions." That's the whole point of an Ask Me
Go
Anything, is
ahead
you
and
don't
ask
know
him.
what you're gonna get. Morkay doesn't like that. He said instead he's giving a challenge. That he has to sing "Love Hurts" or "Love Stinks," but it's not a challenge me anything stream, so that's not going to work.
And please, please do not ask him to sing. Please, I value my eardrums.
Snoopy says we give Thaddeus a good laugh every now and then. Indeed, you do. Ryan says Thaddeus doesn't sleep. I do too. I sleep a normal-ish amount, which is of course not really enough, since nearly all people don't sleep enough. But I sleep a normal amount.
I saw
I
somebody
just
was
sleep.
asking if I do makeup, and yes, I do.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't know who the next soccer Nike is, but if you knew who it was, you'd know why that was a funny question. So
Oh,
he says, "Do you do makeup?" Asking for a friend, and I'll just have to leave it at that. And I'll explain it to you later if you haven't figured it out. But I don't want to
funny.
say it because the chat doesn't necessarily know.
Gotcha.
What are the lyrics in pitch and time to the song "Love Hurts"?
No, no. Okay, who sings first, Thaddeus or the cats? Thaddeus, 100%.
Oh my goodness.
100%.
All right. So some other things from earlier. Ryan asked, will there be any time traveling uteruses here? And I don't mean Mary. So Mary invented this phrase, time traveling
I
uterus.
saw that stream. Yeah.
And it's become a channel regular to explain the date discrepancies in the Islamic texts. Oh, no, it's not heirs. They just had time traveling uteruses so people could be
Maybe
born.
I should have worn my TARDIS dress.
Mm-hmm. Philip says it
Really?
sounds scary. I'm praying for you. I hope you get relief and or remission.
Thank you.
Francis said Thaddeus and Crystal are a cute couple. May the peace of Christ be upon you both and us all. Amen. Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
In reference to the earlier question about multiple wives, Days of Elijah says, well, it worked so well for Abraham, Esau, Jacob, David, Solomon. They all had multiple wives and they all had no problems whatsoever. So, obviously, Days of Elijah is being sarcastic, and I am as well. But this is legitimately asked, right? People are like, well, they allowed polygamy in the Old Testament and so on and so forth. Well, why is it not allowed? And it's like, have you actually read the narrative? Because what the narrative is showing you is that, yes, God condescended and allowed people to have multiple wives, but they continually had problems as a result of it because it wasn't God's plan. And this is the way the biblical narrative works quite often. It's not just a set of commands to follow, but it illustrates points through this lived history. And that's how God uh, shows his love for us, right? Because he wants to come and walk alongside us and not just be got up here from far giving commands. Super chat from Jack Ray.
O son of Adam, spend. I will spend on you. Give, then I will give you. It's difficult because you know what? These are my last few. As it is, the price is going up, the rand is going down, this is happening. Excuses. Those are excuses. You give and watch what Allah does.
So, no excuses. You better all be giving today. I mean, because you got to show your support for Crystal. I don't care if this is your last few dollars and the prices are going up and the value of currency is going down. You should just give or not, because I am not Goofy Mink. So take that under advisement. Anyway, thank you very much for that super chat. Days of Elijah asked, how long have the two of you been saved? So I was a teenager, late teens. I grew up in the church, but they kind of assume that everyone understands the gospel and don't necessarily evangelize to the congregation. So it was actually outside of the church that I grew up. I heard an altar call type speech, asking if you have you accepted Jesus as your personal savior. I've never heard those terms before. And anyway, so that's my story. Now, I don't actually believe in like this magic words theology that you say some magic words and you're saved. And yet that's my story, right? I heard an altar call, I responded to it, and it completely changed my life. So I don't know what to do with that. It's not consistent with the way I believe that God works, and yet it's the way he chose to work in my life. Go figure. What about you, honey?
I think I was either a sophomore or a junior in high school. Um, I had been going to the same church since 7th grade, but I mostly viewed it as social fun because I never actually went to like the service. I just went to youth group. And I don't exactly remember what happened, but I know it was at the church camp that we went to every summer, which was in Ruidoso, New Mexico. And it was after we had gone horseback riding, and we were all sitting in a circle and talking. And honestly, it was just like something clicked in my mind, and I understood suddenly what they were all talking about. And I just went from there. I miss that camp. I wonder if it's open to adults. It was fun.
I don't know. May not even still exist for all you know.
Probably not. It was like on the side of a, like, if you rode your horse off the side, it was like a cliff. It was really fun though.
Hutchie says, does your body get used to pain-killing meds?
Yes, yes, it does. That's another reason I keep upping my morphine. My next fill next week will have um, I'm trying to remember, Bevocaine in it, which is a type of lidocaine to help numb the nerve roots at the same time. So hopefully the combination of the two is helpful. We'll see.
IR Review says, if your wife converts to Islam, would you still love her? Well, I don't know, because that would mean that her brain fell out. So would she
I'm
even
married
still be
to
the
you,
same person?
so do I have one to begin with?
But yeah, I mean, obviously, if you mean like, emotional feeling, so I guess it depends on what you mean by love. So if you mean when I still have the same emotional feelings for her, of course I would. On the other hand, love isn't just an emotional feeling; it's a choice that one makes, and I would also, right? I would also still choose to be in love with her. I would still choose to support her and so on and so forth, precisely to bring her back to the truth of Christianity. But like I said, that her brain would have to fall out for that to happen. So not going to happen. Trinity Matrix says, this is so emotional. You are in my prayers. Appreciate that very much. Jack Ray asks if we work out theological points together. Not a lot, actually. Crystal, well, she can describe it herself, but she is not of the same personality type as I am. She doesn't enjoy thinking about things logically the way I do.
Thaddeus goes from A to B, and that's how he gets there. A, B, clear. I go A, Z, M, X, S, and then I get to B. And that's the way my brain works. So if we have to talk logically to each other, my brain wants to freaking explode because I just can't handle it. I'm one of those people that has a squirrel brain. I have like 5 conversations going on with the same person at one time. And sometimes it drives hubby crazy when I'm talking to my friends and he hears the conversations and he's like, what are you talking about? You're like talking about 12 different things.
Zakir Naik posted a very important correction. He says half of your brain would fall out when you convert to Islam, because in his infinite wisdom, Muhammad declared that women had half of a brain. Not those exact words, but that's the logic of what he declared. And so only half your brain would fall out. Una said TARDIS, question mark. So I'm not sure if she doesn't know Doctor Who or she doesn't know
Oh,
what
she
TARDIS
does.
is.
If she asks me a couple of things later, who's my favorite doctor?
I was going to say, or maybe she's wondering how you have a TARDIS dress.
I made it myself for a Halloween costume a couple years ago. The kiddo, actually, I say a couple years ago. I was probably 10 to 12 years ago because the kiddo had a Dalek costume at the same time that we had ordered from the UK. And it had this little button on the front that when you pushed, it would talk in a Dalek voice and say, exterminate. Or what was the other thing? It would say, you are an enemy of the doctor. You will be destroyed. Or, yeah, you are an enemy of the Dalek. Sorry. But yeah, it was fun. But I've always loved Doctor Who. And I do agree that Tom Baker is fabulous, by the way. My mother-in-law made me a super long Tom Baker scarf once.
Una says you like Doctor Who and space cats. I think that makes you smart.
Hey, look, my first cat volunteered himself.
Excellent. So who is this?
This is my special favorite baby. This is Einstein. He's 19 this year.
Which is like 90 or something like that in people terms.
Yeah. I call him my nurse cat because ever since I've had CRPS, he likes to lay on my good leg, and he's like, Mom, stop holding me like that. It's weird. He lays on my good leg and guards my bad leg. If another cat comes by, he'll swat at them so that they can't touch it and hurt me. But he's pretty chill. He's a good boy. He likes to lay on my stomach at night. That's where he usually sleeps, is laying on my stomach.
Next Dr. Next is Doctor Who. I think the answer to that question is yes.
The correct grammar would be Doctor Whom, though.
Another super chat from Jack Ray.
If you frequently say it, Allah would pay off your debts. So you can refer to it back again, inshallah.
Fortunately, we don't know what to say repeatedly since Jack Ray didn't make a comment, but whatever he was thinking, that's what you should be repeating, and then Allah will pay off all your debts. Trinity Matrix says you both are super sweet. It's very kind of you. Appreciate that. Richard says, if Jesus is God, then how can God die? A common question that Muslims ask us, but then he answered it himself. Why are you answering it yourself? He says, so according to Abdul's, one who do not die is God. Then Enoch and Elijah are gods because they don't die, and they should treat them as gods, but no, Jesus is God, I say. And indeed, Jesus is God. And not to be too logical, but I mean, that's what I do, even when Crystal's around, is that this is a fallacy of equivocation where you're using die in a different sense than Christians intend. They're using it in the sense of cease to exist, which is a definition of die, but it's not what we mean when we say that Jesus died. We mean that he came to an end of bodily life, just as what a Muslim believes that their life continues after death. So does a Christian, and thus their question is completely nonsensical because they already believe that when you die, it's not the end, and yet they're pretending like when Christians say that Jesus died, they're saying that God ceased to exist. And it's just silly.
Oh man, I have cat hair all over my face. That was really dumb. I don't know why I gave Einstein a kiss.
Because you're on camera, and you had to show it up.
I'm allergic to the cats. So I have like air purifiers in every room that I spend time in. But I would never get rid of them. In fact, I'm the one that's constantly, honey, can we get another one?
So Condescending Islam, in reference to the patriarchs, they had no problems, really. Was not David's family a happy family? Yeah, they were very happy. And the kingdom didn't fall because Solomon took hundreds or thousands of foreign wives and sought after the foreign gods in honor of his foreign wives or anything like that. That never happened. And we don't have the whole Isaac and Ishmael situation because Abraham was completely faithful to his wife and so on and so forth, right? And no problems whatsoever created by having multiple wives. Philip says, does an ice pack help with the burning sensation or the contact just make it worse?
So ice is actually a big no-no for CRPS because it can cause nerve damage. At least that's what my orthopedic doctor told me, and what the physical therapists that I've worked with for the past 6 years have told me. Just don't ever use ice. I can use heat, but never ice. So I don't know if it would help because it would cause nerve damage.
So number of comments on being allergic to cats. Una says, same, I have a cat allergy, but that doesn't stop me from petting them. Francis says, allergic to cats, but have cats too. How does that work? And Breakfast Gun, however, is different. He says, I'm allergic to cats too. I grew up with 3 of them, never going to have cats again. So he managed to give up the cats. No one
I
else
can't do it. I can't do it. All Days of Elijah wants to know how many we have. We have 6.
You've seen one. You will see the other 5 in time.
Going in age order, it's Morgan, Einstein, Penny, Apollo, Artemis, and Demeter. So the last 3, the kiddo picked their names because what I wanted to name them got overruled. So
I do like this new naming scheme where we name them after Greek gods and thus, in a way, insulting these non-existent gods. I appreciate it.
I wanted to name them. Okay, so I listen to the music that I listen to is either Korean or Chinese. I listen to a lot of K-pop, though. That's probably 90% of my music. And I wanted to pick fun, random Korean words from my favorite songs to name the cats. And one of my favorite groups is NCT 127. And their debut song was called Fire Truck. Well, the Korean word for fire truck is sabongcha, and I thought it would be awesome to have a cat named Sabongcha, but apparently nobody else agreed with me. I just think they're lame.
And Jason says cat army, and Days of Elijah says we have 5 barn cats. So there you go. Next question. This one's not a question. I was going to say next question, but that'd be technically incorrect. Morkay says, oh, the Bible says laughter is good medicine. So for tonight, let's make Crystal laugh so she can feel a little better. And Crystal, she's very much a social animal. She very much gets enjoyment out of being with people and talking and whatnot. And then if she goes out and has a great time, she pays the price for it the next couple of days. And so it's difficult for her, right, to make that decision about whether she wants to go out or not.
What is this? Jason? Yes, I listen to K-pop and Mandopop. My 4 favorite groups are NCT 127, Monsta X, ATEEZ, and then Wavy. And Wavy sings in Mandarin. So 3 Korean and 1 Chinese.
Very good. Carol B likes the name as well.
That's because Sabongcha is fun to say.
As does Jason. John Wilson says, Crystal, did Thaddeus go down on one knee when he proposed to you?
No, because we didn't have an actual proposal and actual wedding. I mean, we had
What do you mean we had an actual wedding? Come on.
I was about to clarify. Yes, we had an actual wedding, but it wasn't the like big wedding with family. We got married in a church, but it was just the two of us, the pastor, the pastor's wife, and a photographer. Because we were in Canada in Niagara Falls, and we got married in this adorable little tiny white church in the historic part of town. And of course, none of our family was there. So.
Indeed. N.A. Odysseus' thoughts on how Muslims gamify their religion. Say this phrase and get X good deeds. Personally, I won't even bother with these side quests that only earn 1 or 2 good deeds. And indeed, right, you actually don't need to mess with any of it, because being a martyr is worth infinite number of points. So just do whatever all the time and make sure that you die as a martyr, and you're good in Islam. And of course, this is a very human way of doing things. And ultimately, it's what all the world's religions, all the world's false religions, apart from Christianity, teach, is that you earn your own salvation, right? They might not have a system where this act is worth X number of good deeds, but they all have a system of reward to overcome your sin problem, acknowledging that there is a problem. I think pretty much every religion that's ever existed acknowledges that there's a problem, that inherently things aren't the way they should be. But the solution in human created systems is always that humans earn their way out of it one way or another. And the reality is that if God is actually all good and perfect in every way, then he can't tolerate any amount of sin, and no amount of good deeds is going to make up for that. And thus you need an actual solution, which is what Christianity provides, in that God does all the work himself. And he provides for our salvation, not through our good works. Super chat from Francis. And I will clear that out because the bot had crashed on me.
Bad bot. Bad.
Yeah, so there's a bug in it when someone who has an emoji in their name, I don't know why anyone would do that, but when someone has an emoji in their name joins, it tries to send it a legal character. I need to fix that, but I haven't done so yet. Anyway, it's back running. So, super chat from Francis.
Here's the sad news. We are running out of funds. All our work is going to stop unless people like you watching this video will help us. Your donations can get you a share in a reward and reap those rewards for years to come, inshallah. This is not a donation or a charity, but an investment for your hereafter.
So he says that Rabat is brownophobic. Shame, God bless us. Hey, come on, the bot just gave you Ali Dawa. He's a little brown, so what are you complaining about? Of course, he was joking because I forgot to reset the little measure to show that it's a new stream, and thus it wasn't sending people who had been in the previous stream their greetings and giving them their 100 points for joining the stream, and so it didn't give him and many other people their points. So there you go. Thank you very much for that donation. STST or Saint or Street or however that you pronounce that. You're 42. You look much younger.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Like I've been saying the whole chat, it's nothing I've done. It's the Korean skincare, I promise. I do like 10 skincare steps when I wake up and a little bit more when I go to bed. So it's just the extra time that I do, and that's all it is. The Koreans
Jason
know what they're doing.
Jason says, Are all my debts over now? So in context, he's actually referring to some specific dua or prayer that you're supposed to say that's supposed to be specifically for relief of debts. Imagine that, right? That there's a specific set of magic words in Islam that's supposed to get you relief of your debts. So
Ah,
he is actually referring to something when he says it, but that doesn't really make it any better. Nicodemus says the Niagara Falls is amazing at night.
it is very, very beautiful.
And Constantia Islam said something that maybe you can read, but I sure can't.
Oh, hold on. Let me scroll up.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're not looking. You're looking at YouTube as opposed to what I'm showing on the screen.
All right, where is it?
It's about one page up. I mean, it might be Sabancha. I don't know. Oh, but it seems she's suggesting a name, so presumably
Yeah,
not. Huh?
it's. Oh wait, I'm reading. I can't 100% read that. Sorry.
Well, I made you look bad. Anyway, whatever it is a beautiful name for a cat. Maybe your wife could use
I
it
don't
in your
remember what
house. I
that
don't know.
vowel is. That's what's killing me. So the first letter is an S. The backwards S looking thing is somewhere in between an R and an L. And the O at the bottom, because it's at the end of the word, is an NG sound. But I don't remember what vowel that is because I've put more of my study into Chinese rather than Korean.
Indeed, she found
So
Korean to
I,
be too hard and switched to Chinese, which she found to be much easier, which is interesting.
yes, it's much easier. 我说中文我说中文 So that means I speak Chinese.
And she does, right? We go to the Chinese restaurant and she talks with her
Oh, it
friends
was
there in
sarang,
Chinese.
love. Okay.
STST says 9 hours at the beauty salon must cost an arm and a leg.
I mean, I'm sitting in a chair, so it's nothing to me.
And this is how she is with money in general. She's like, doesn't cost me anything. In other words, she doesn't think about it.
Yeah, pretty much. You don't want to know how much my hair costs. It's usually, oof. I'm trying to think how much my last one was. 375. Yeah, about 375. And I get a discount because my hairstylist says I'm her unicorn muse. So it would probably be about $200 more for a normal person. So I pay enough to keep my hair pretty to what was I going to say? Keep a third world country afloat, probably.
So Rachel asks if we can have an animation of cats raining type of prompt. Thank you for the suggestion box.
I
I will
agree.
try to remember that. I have many good things on my list of things that I should do. I mean, we do already have one cat animation, but that doesn't mean we can't have another. Kitchen Table Polemicist says Solomon had 700 wives and 300 porcupines. I think that it was probably an autocorrect, but I saved it anyway because I liked the thought of him having 300 porcupines. Yeah, if you got 300 porcupines as pseudo wives, they would definitely lead you astray.
Sounds like a prickly situation.
So David YouTube said, Thaddeus, can Christians say Muhammad, peace be upon him? It seems Hebrews 7:7 says we can bless Muhammad. And Mary didn't appreciate this joke. She said that you can't, and then he said don't abuse scripture and whatnot. But I'm taking it in the spirit of a joke. And Hebrews 7:7 says it's beyond dispute that the inferior is blessed by the superior. So what he's suggesting is that Muhammad is an inferior to every one of us, and thus the superior us can bless the inferior. Now, I mean, practically speaking, I think it would be a very bad idea. It would give Muslims a wrong impression to say peace be upon Muhammad. And I don't think that it would like inherently be sinful to say those words, but I think it would be a very bad idea and thus shouldn't be done. And hopefully I didn't
I'm
annoy
gonna.
Mary too much with that answer.
That's funny. I'm gonna bother the kid real quick to have him bring me a cat. Hey T. T. He said, "Yep, yep, 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 yep."
All right, we'll have some cats here in a minute. Furkazan says, did Allah create the leather straps of the anus?
Well, they already know,
Indeed,
but just bring me Artie for now.
indeed he did, right? Well, in Islamic theology, I mean, he created everything. So maybe, kind of ambiguous whether he really created the world,
Bring
but
the others now.
in theory, as most Muslims would say, he created everything. So that would include the leather straps of the anus, better known as the eyes. So I think the answer is yes. We now have the most famous cat who's on most streams.
It's the channel mascot. Artemis, say hi. Hi. Meow.
Artemis is known as the world's cutest cat to me.
And she can, like, you can do anything with this cat. Hold her like a baby. Like, she just doesn't care. She's the most chill cat ever.
I think that her coloring, and it may not be as obvious in camera, but I think her coloring makes her exceptionally cute. And she also is extremely silky soft, the softest cat I've ever had. So she seems like a cartoon character. She almost seems like the little dancing cat that we have.
I've already done
Sometimes
mine.
people, when that comes up, they say that that's Artemis there, but that's
Everybody
actually
else.
happy cat.
Somebody asked if I tried learning Japanese. The answer is absolutely not. And the reason is I am not going to try to learn a language that has 3 freaking alphabets. Why? Why? I don't understand. I don't want to have to learn 3 different alphabets. Learning Chinese characters is hard enough. Not doing it.
I think that Frinkazan is from Japan, so that's
Yeah, I
interested.
don't understand. You guys stole the kanji from China, so why did you have to make more alphabets? I don't understand. Here's a different baby. Whoops. She doesn't like being held. So. Boop, boop,
This
boop.
one's Demeter. She's only been on a couple streams for a couple seconds, so most of you have not seen Demeter.
She's my little midget cat. So I don't know if you can tell looking at her jaw, but she has a very severe overbite or underbite with her lower jaw, and that is a marker of a cat with dwarfism. And this little kitty barely weighs 5 pounds. So that's that. She's tiny. and she's almost 2. So we'll go, Demeter. Oh, the old lady is here.
So Frankinson says the first two alphabets are easy.
What are they? Harikana and I don't remember what they're called. I mean, I watch anime all the time, but no, I like listening to the language. It's fabulous, but no. All right, this is the old lady. She's mad at me right now. She's growling. It's okay. You're okay. Sweet baby. Sweet baby. This is Morgan. She is the oldest cat in the house. She is 20.
She joins the streams fairly often. She's the only long-haired cat that we've. Well, that's not true. We did have a long-haired white cat very briefly, but she's the only long-haired cat that we've had for an extended period of time.
Hiragana and katakana. There we go. But yeah, she's persnickety. She wakes me up in the middle of the night licking my face. And I mean, like, literally, she's licking the tip of my nose or licking my eyebrows. And, I mean, yeah. I think she's grumpy because she's old. And I mean, when you're that age, you're allowed to be grumpy. Oh,
Jack
Lord,
says
the
it's the.
obese one.
This
Oh,
says it's the kitty equivalent to get off my lawn.
I think you've gotten fatter. Oh, this is one you'll never see on the Tuesday streams, ever. But this cat weighs about 20 pounds. And yes, they are all fixed except Demeter. We didn't get Demeter fixed because she has dwarfism, and I was concerned that it might lead to secondary issues because obviously her innards might be a little small. But anyway, this is Penny, and as you can see, here's her chunky belly. Oh, I'm sorry, Penny. But she is the kiddo's cat, and she's sweet when she wants to be, but she generally hates the other kitties. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and she does not come into the basement where my streaming setup is. So if she was ever on a stream, it would be quite something because she doesn't come down at any time, let alone while I'm streaming.
Yeah, but when it's just you and her, she is the sweetest baby. She purrs like crazy. And she loves to be loved on. Unfortunately, she also likes to lay on your chest, which, as you can imagine, um, is quite suffocating.
I have no idea where Orangey is, by the way.
Hmm.
But he'll probably actually show up for you. So.
Yeah. I don't know where the orange doofus is right now, but when he shows up, I'll throw
So
him
we've
on.
seen 5 of the 6 cats. We can't end until we have the 6th one. So there you go. A lot of comments on Morgan being 20 years old. And indeed, she is 20. And Days of Elijah says Morgan Le Fay? Question mark.
I'm sorry, what?
Morgan Le Fay? Question mark, like
yes,
I said.
that's what she's named after. Morgana Le Fay.
And I did say that on a stream, so I don't know if he was there and he remembered that or he just guessed. But either way, that is correct.
She had a brother named Arthur from the same litter, so I named her Morgana.
Rachel says she's cranky because she's a cat. Don't be cataphobic.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm covered in cat fur now, mostly from Penny. Penny is too fat to really groom herself well. So she's got a ton of extra fur on her. And whoever hugs her is in bad luck. I have cat fur all over my face, and in my mouth. Oh, it is what it is.
Indeed. Lots of comments on the Japanese alphabet. I didn't know that was going to be the favorite topic of the day, but everyone is all in on the Japanese alphabet, going back and forth. Professor Yaffa says, why don't they put these three alphabets together and make one alphabet? After all, alphabet order is arbitrary. Well, because then you would have three different ways to spell every word, kind of, because it's the same word written in three different ways, right?
No.
It's not, they can't be mixed together.
Yeah, they're mixed.
Wait, you
Words will
mixed the
have the
same character?
kanji and they'll have all the alphabets in one word. Like it's nuts, man. Why do you think I didn't want to learn it? Why do you think I
Okay, then.
chose to learn Chinese instead?
Cherokee says, I love King Arthur too. I collect books on the legend. So there you go. Villainous says that Morgan should have been named Methuselah. But actually, she's nowhere near the world record oldest cat. Saw it not that long ago. I forget the exact age, but 30
I think it was
something,
like
right?
32.
Yeah. So
Old.
not even close.
Old.
Not even close to world record length.
Yeah. Ancient. Our oldest cat was Abby. She was 22 when she passed away. We found her on the side of the. Actually, we found her in a gas station. In what was that? Arkansas?
Arkansas.
Yeah. We were on our way home. We had visited my parents in Texas the month after we got married. I grew up in Texas, so my parents were still living there. And it, yeah, we found this cat. She had two tiny kittens with her. And I asked the attendant to the gas station, I was like, is this your cat? And he's like, no, somebody dumped her because she was pregnant and she had her kittens here. And she's become like the station mascot. And he said, well, you can take her if you want. So we did. We brought her back to Ohio, and she was a good kitty. But she passed away from a stroke. She was fine 1 minute, and the next minute she was gone. But she made it to 22, and now she's in a box on the top of our bookshelf in the living room.
Marion mentions her cat, Lodbrock. Says it's her first cat. I've never had a girl cat yet.
I had never had cats before I moved up here. I moved up here in was that 2000? But yeah, I had never had cats before. And my first cat was an all white cat with blue eyes named Sam. And then he had kidney disease, unfortunately, and had to be put down. But that started my love of cats. And now I just want to have a gajillion cats. I also want to have like 5 goats in my backyard, but hubby won't let me. Because he's mean.
Yeah, that's why. Trinity Matrix says, I think Lodbrook needs a girlfriend. Could be. Could be. Richard asked, how many kids do you have? We have just one child.
Just one. Not by choice. We tried a lot afterwards. We did the whole, like we did the Clomid, and we did the whole bang. But we ended up with just the one. So it is what it is.
It worked out for the best.
I mean,
As
we ended
things
up with a
do.
good kid. I mean, they're weird, but yeah.
John Wilson says, if Thaddeus cooks for you, what is your favorite dish he makes?
Sorry.
Wow, man.
I'm sorry. Um, Daddy's can't cook. So it would be frozen pizza or boxed macaroni and cheese or spaghetti and meatballs, like things that he could easily cook with. I wouldn't even trust him to make scrambled eggs, honestly. Like something that's simple, that's pre-made, and all he has to do is heat up, other than spaghetti. That's pretty much it. Thaddeus
Well,
doesn't do cooking.
moving on to something Thaddeus does do. Breakfast Gun asks, what is your bot written in? So it's actually a combination of a couple different scripts, but the primary script is written in Perl. I'm old fashioned like that. I still use Perl. There's a little bit of JavaScript to read the comments from YouTube, and then the original animation thing, which I still use for some of the animations, is C sharp, I believe. So a little bit of everything, but mostly Perl. Days of Elijah says he's taking your money and he's proud of that.
And we're proud of that.
Referring, of course, to Mufti Menk in this case, but any of the Daligandists. Too Many Marys says we need a Dajjal cat. So the Dajjal looks exactly like Allah, except he has only one eye.
I mean, my friend has an orange cat with only one eye, but his name is Gutsy. So, not Digital, sorry.
If we ever do get a one-eyed cat, I think we would name it Dajjal, though.
No, I'd probably name him Hephaestus because we'd have to follow the Greek mythology theme.
All right. Some pushback on getting goats. Sir Dr. Whitemeat said that goats will attract Abduls because they do what they do. If David Wood was here, he'd start talking about how he's seen news stories about how they found a goat with an STD, and then they found 10 boys in the village that had the same STD. Anyway, Days of Elijah said, goats are destructive. Don't do it. No.
I mean,
Goats are destructive.
They are, and that's one of the big reasons holding me back. I do plant a vegetable garden every year, and I also have an herb garden and an extensive flower garden. So, I mean, I honestly really don't have room for goats, but I have friends who have a goat farm that I go to a lot in the summer because goats are, I call them my it's my happy place to go. When I'm petting the goats and hugging on the goats, I don't hurt so much. They're like my therapy animals. It's therapy time when I go hang out with the goats. And they're super sweet. There's this one there that has ginormous horns, and everybody's afraid of him because he has ginormous horns and he's like the biggest one. But he's a sweetheart, and he comes over and nuzzles my hand until I pet him. So
Villainous says Thaddeus is the goat. He develops graphics using Fortran. I suppose you probably could technically do graphics in Fortran. I wouldn't know. I did one time write a program in Fortran when I was a teenager. Some kids go to summer camp. I went to the supercomputer center. They had a summer camp like thing, and at that point they used Fortran to interact with the then supercomputer, but probably in all reality, can't even hold a candle to the cheapest computer today, but at the time, the supercomputer in the mid 90s there, they
I did a
interacted it with Fortran.
I I did a programming class in high school because you had to do a computer class in high school to graduate. You had to have like that one computer credit, and it was either do a typing class or do C++. So I did C++ because I thought it would be fun, and I freaking hated every minute of it. So I will never again program anything. Anything. Nothing.
So
Ever.
some more feedback on goats here. Ryan says goats are actually super fun. I like them. Baby goats are about the cutest thing in history. Krista would
Yes,
agree with this statement 100%.
definitely. I like
He
to
likes
go
to
right after
open the
the
gopher
babies are
bag.
born and snuggle them.
And Rachel said they are wild. I love them though. I had 4 growing up, and my mom gave them away to a petting zoo because she was diagnosed with MS, and they would knock her over with love. Marion said goats are extremely cute, but don't invite them into your home. It's good advice. And the same is true of Crystal. She's just nodding, not even getting a response out of her. There you go.
I'm just, figuring out where you're sleeping tonight because it's not with me.
Nicodemus says he learned how to program in BASIC, as did I. Uh, and so Trinity Matrix, I don't really, I'm not a computer programmer. I wouldn't claim that by any stretch of the imagination. But what we were talking about is the little script I wrote to power the animations and greet people in chat and whatnot. And that's written in Perl. I do occasionally make little scripts to help me with things. I usually just write them in Perl because it's what I'm most familiar with. If not Perl, then probably Node.js. It would be the second language I would use. But I'm not a programmer, right? So don't hear me saying that I'm a programmer by any means. Those who actually are would be like, he don't know anything. All right, super chat from Rachel.
And Allah will bless you in a million ways. You find the tree will grow and you will have lots and lots of wealth. This is the example that we gave to the children. And I'm letting you know that when you sow that seed by giving, you shall receive much more than you gave by the will of Allah. Give as much as you can, for indeed you will reap much more than you have sown.
Congratulations, Rachel. You're due for much more back in return. May God bless you both in the name of Jesus. Thank you very much for that. Richard says, your funds give me coffee in Starbucks, Lily Dawa. So that one wasn't Alidawa, obviously, but nonetheless, your generous donations help pay for my Starbucks. Or in this case, Crystal's Starbucks, because she's the Starbucks drinker around here.
Well, honestly, I prefer to go to my friends own a coffee shop locally, so I go there most of the time. But Starbucks if they're closed.
Snoopy says, don't fall for it. It's a Ponzi scheme. No, that would require some people getting back. Like that would require the early investors getting their money back and more. Whereas
Hey,
I
you
don't
got
think
an Artemis.
anyone. I do have an Artemis. Did you see her jump into my lap or something? Because I hadn't even added the cat cam yet.
I saw her tail.
She just jumped up a couple seconds ago. I'll get her added here, but first, got to get you answering a question. Do your cats go outside?
No, indoor only. And they are not they get the rabies vaccine and that's it. We don't do all of the like FIV and FLV vaccines because I think they're unnecessary just because we don't put them outside ever, so they only ever see each other. So
All right, so we got the lap cat cam going now. Crystal will see that in a minute since she's looking at YouTube, but you guys will see it as I say it. A Cherokee Gypsy says, I lost my cat a few years back and I still miss her.
aw, I'm sorry.
Professor Yaffle asks if you suffer after picking up the cats.
No, I'm okay.
Too Many Marys asks, do you have a Dr. Pen?
Nope.
Do you know what that is? Because I don't.
Aw, she's needing the blankie.
Mm-hmm.
Happy kitty.
And Ryan says that he knew about the cats before I had a cat cam because he saw a tail and he put two and two together. He's very smart like that. Rachel says, I played Doom in 98 to 99 and I finished it. It was terrifying. I finished what I start type of gamer. Good to know.
I game a lot. Actually, was it last year you bought me this computer or the year before? Either way, Thaddeus bought me a gaming computer. Well, it's a laptop. It's not a desktop. So, I mean, it's not as powerful as a gaming desktop, but it is what it is. But he bought me a gaming laptop because as a cripple, I don't move much. And oh, microneedling. Yes, I do have microneedlings. I do microneedle. My microneedle my forehead because I have this deep wrinkle that I've had since I was like 15. It's actually improved quite a bit. And I microneedle my belly because I've lost a lot of weight and I just have flappy skin, flappy skin, and it's obnoxious. So I'm trying to stimulate collagen to make it helpfully go away a little bit at least. But anyway, I play a lot of here. This is a super old game, and I still play it. Yeah. I don't want to admit it. Actually, never mind.
You're silly.
I do play League of Legends all the time, constantly. I even have a normal group of 4 that I play with. 2 of them are from Korea, 2 of them are from China, and we all get together and play. And they laugh at me because I will jump back and forth speaking the languages to them. And so I'm speaking both languages into my microphone, and they just giggle. Uh, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love playing League of Legends. It's yeah. I know it's so old and everybody's over it at this point, but yeah.
So Days of Elijah says Doctor Who pen. I think we had one of those at some point too, a pen that was shaped like the sonic screwdriver.
Yeah, I still have it.
There you go. Professor Yaffle asked, what does microneedling do?
It encourages your body to produce more collagen, which plumps the skin and helps fill out lines and wrinkles. And yes, I play StarCraft all the time, Breakfast Gun. I love StarCraft. Again, super old, still play it.
More gaming questions here. Mary said Second Life.
Sometimes it's not one of my favorites, so I don't play it all that often. Come here, stupid.
Richard said, I played Age of Empires more than 1,000 times and still play it today. Supa Tiki says, I played League of Legends too. I'm noticing a past tense there, though. Just saying.
A lot of people
Checker?
stopped playing it a couple years ago, but yeah, I can't stop playing it. It's too much fun. I did change positions. Um, I switched from I was playing as the mid laner, but I got tired of if I was playing a solo game, I would have to queue for forever because everybody wants to play mid line. So I switched to ADC, which is the attack damage carry, the bot lane, the far right that usually has uh, the support with them. And yeah, I switched to that, and it's very similar. It's another carry lane, so it's a lot of fun to play, and it's great because you're very weak at the beginning, which is why you have a support. But by the end, you're like crazy overpowered and can beat the crap out of anybody if you play it right. I have a couple characters that if I try to play them, I get banned instantly because the characters get banned instantly because I have a reputation for winning with those characters. So they don't let me play with them anymore, which makes me sad. But that's just the way it is.
Jack Ray says World of Warships, War Thunder, and listed in a bunch of single player games for him.
War Thunder's fun.
Breakfast Gun says that's awesome. StarCraft 2 is the best craft.
It is. That's the one I play. It's on my computer.
Too Many Marys said I played Diablo 2 in college a lot. And Trinity Matrix said Alan Wake is a classic.
And Rachel mentioned PUBG. I still play PUBG. Although I haven't had chicken dinner in a while. They got new maps recently with a update of the game, and I've been trying to win one of the maps, so I've been playing that same map over and over again, and that freaking map is going to be the death of me. I'm determined to play that map until I freaking win.
Days of Elijah says Age of Empires 2 hitting cup at the end of the month. Protestant Believer says, oh yeah, Doom, Castle, Wolfenstein, etc. Nicodemus says, isn't League of Legends a superhero game?
I don't know what you mean by a superhero game.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that means either. I mean, in a sense, right? If you're playing a character,
I mean, yeah, you play a
they're kind of a
character that could
superhero.
do non-human things, but that's not really a superhero game. But you know what it is. I just saw Apollo, so hold on one second. Hey T, I just saw Apollo. Can you find him for me? Thank you.
Nicodemus says, you guys are making me want to play a video game. After the stream ends, don't leave before
Yeah,
that.
wait till after the stream.
Too Many Mary says, my family has been monopolizing Helldivers too. Something interesting about that, right? Mary's family is playing Helldivers as she's having all these talks about theology. Eh.
You know,
Preston Believer said that he had Atari 64 original games as well. Can I send you Islam? I loved Age of Empires 2. Villainous says, I'm old enough to remember Rogue from the early 80s. And Professor Gauss said, maybe just easier to ask is, does anyone not play games? Since everyone's giving all these games that they have played or like to play, so on and so forth.
I think the first computer game I ever played was Where in the World's Carmen Sandiego on an Apple IIe.
God, you're old.
Shut up! The child just called me old. And the first console game I played was Super Mario Brothers when my brother and I got a Nintendo for Christmas one year. Like the original Nintendo. So here's the last cat. This is the one I call Doofus. because he's orange. And like all orange cats, he's special, meaning he has one brain cell and he doesn't use it. He's constantly knocking things over or jumping into things that he shouldn't. And now, what are you trying to do, Apollo?
There's a stink bug
Oh.
right above you.
So he's a hot mess, aren't you? Aren't you, buddy?
Especially yesterday.
Hey T, you come over here and say hi. They want to meet you too.
I'll say hi. I don't want to get on camera though.
Oh, come on. 5 seconds.
We can hear. I mean, we can hear him as is.
All right, T, say hi. T doesn't want to get on camera, so hello. There, that's all you're going to get out of the kiddo.
No, Mary brought up Oregon Trail.
Oh, wow. I do remember Oregon Trail. You have died of dysentery. You broke your leg. You have died of dysentery. Hey, T, can you refill my water bottle?
Trinity wants to know if she can adopt one of our cats.
Absolutely not. Those are my babies.
All right, some more questions here. Well, this one's just a comment. Trinity also said that you look like you're 35, and that's not flattery.
Thank you.
There you go. Una said Chinese is easier than Korean, so you got some support for that. Super chat from...
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
The reason it's easier is the grammar. Dude, I know Koreans that don't fully understand Korean grammar. Not joking. Korean grammar is impossible. Apollo, don't you dare walk on my laptop. Come on. And it's backwards from English. Korean goes subject, object, verb, whereas English is subject, verb, object, and so is Chinese, subject, verb, object. So it's just easier because it's the same sentence structure.
Rachel says, Yoshi's Island, Crystal, you have to try it. And I brought this one. There have been many more comments on games, but I brought this one up because, yeah, I think that's one of your favorites all time, probably.
Yeah, it is. Apollo!
Well, we promised you would have cats on the stream, and you have cats on the Crystal. On the Crystal on the stream. All right.
With his tail.
Super chat from Ecclesiastes.
O son of Adam, spend. I will spend on you. Give, then I will give you. It's difficult because you know what? These are my last few. As it is, the price is going up, the rand is going down, this is happening. Excuses. Those are excuses. You give and watch what Allah does.
Yeah, no excuses. And thank you for not having any excuses today. So the super chat here. Hi, Crystal. I have nerve damage, mainly diabetes complications, and bad habits and decisions for 15 years. All our glorified bodies will have no pain. So thank you for that. And good reminder, right? Regardless, like I said earlier, pain's a funny thing. Like your brain adjusts. So even if you technically have relatively little pain, you feel like you're in a lot of pain. And I don't think anyone goes through this life and says, I was never in any significant pain and every day was wonderful. So good reminder to us all that when times are hard, we can look towards the certainty of God's promise. Clyte says, what's up, dude? It's cool to meet your wife on the live stream. I just got here. Hello to you, Mrs. Thad.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Sir Dr. Whiteman, I have a headache because I was watching Nadir date. What the heck? Why were you watching Nadir date? I think I surely meant debate, but I'm going with date. I think that might be even worse than watching the deer debate, watching him date. I'm at least 10% more stupid for listening to that crap. And knowing you, that's a lot of stupid. Too Many Mary says, LL watching Nadir will do that. And I did see that Nadir sent me an email a couple days ago. I haven't read it, but you see like the first half sentence in the preview, and it starts out, I see you've decided to ignore me, which I haven't been ignoring him. I just haven't answered anyone's emails in a long time. But it seems Nadir wants some attention, and perhaps we'll get him on the stream sometime soon. Rachel said, even the cataphobic crabby cat can't be adopted?
Even that one, because that one is, I'm assuming you're talking about Penny, and that one's the kiddos. And when the kiddo goes off to grad school, they're taking that one with them. So, nope.
Rasef Ben L said, my favorite game has been Kala. Have you played it? Years ago. What about you, honey?
Yep. I play it every time I go to my grandma Waters' house because she has a Mancala board.
Days Elijah says Apollo is more of an outside cat. That's why he's climbing all over you and stuff.
The
I don't
reason
think so.
actually is because there is a stink bug in the house that happened to get in, and it's on the wall right above my head, and he's trying to get to it, but it's all the way up at the ceiling. So, good luck.
H.J. Evans says, which cat is the alpha cat?
Einstein.
You think?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know how to answer personally.
Even though Apollo is bigger, Einstein bites Apollo's ears to keep him in check. So,
If he Nadir dates, God help that girl. And Nadir is actually married and has school-age children. So I don't know. I guess there are women who like their men very dumb. That's all I can say. Burke is in, dude, I stopped wanting to even put up with listening to Nadir after he said non-Muslims are mentally deficient. Kettle Black. I mean, come on.
ooh, what's that? Where'd that go? Rachel
I don't
wants to
know.
know about our board gaming, honey.
What about Catan and board games? So Catan is the one Euro game or strategy game that we don't play, but we do play all the other popular ones like Ticket to Ride.
Dominion.
Dominion is my personal favorite.
Don't
Seven
ever play
Wonders.
Dominion with that one. Never. He always does an engine strategy, so his turns take half an hour and it's obnoxious. So it's just not, it's no,
We used to play all the time, and I liked the game so much that I got online and was playing it online all the time, which then of course I got much better. And online, you just click a button. There's no cards to shuffle and stuff, so it goes quickly. And now they're annoyed because it takes too long.
My favorite is Ticket to Ride. I'm trying to think which expansion is my favorite. Probably the France map because you have to buy the tracks and lay down the tracks before you can then purchase the route. So it's really fun. Because if you buy the tracks and then somebody else might buy the route you wanted. So, there's a lot of strategy involved in which route are you going to purchase, which tracks are you going to lay down, etc.
So you won't find these comments funny, but I found them hilarious. So Cheeky Shaky said, ha ha ha, and if you're on a date, that would be gold, which isn't the one I laughed at. This is the first one I laughed at in Days of Your Life. Thought he was going to say school age wife. I said Nadir actually has a school age child, but I was going to say school aged wife because he's like his prophet who married Aisha, and
She was 9 years old.
as we all know. But in fact, if he did marry a school-aged wife, then it would be acceptable for her to beat her because, after all, it was acceptable for Muhammad to beat Aisha because she was a child in need of discipline. Kid you not, this is an argument that Nadir made on this channel when asked why Muhammad hit Aisha. Said, well, she's a child. You got to discipline your children.
I was trying to think of the other board games we play. Oh, I play it with the kiddo, not with the hubby. But with the kiddo, we've played Axis and Allies, and there's this game called what is it? Twilight Struggle. It's a Cold War game where one of you plays the Soviet Union and one of you plays the U.S. And basically, it's, you know, who's going to win. If the Soviet Union wins, the U.S. gets blown up. It's kind of fun. And then the kiddo and I have played Twilight Imperium with his friends before. But that game takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours to play. So I don't think I'll play it again.
And this is the other one about Nadir that, not this leads into it though. Professor Yaffa says, Nadir is an excuse to say wacky quacky interpretation to it, because he always says that that's just your wacky quacky interpretation whenever you like say what the Bible actually says. But then Ryan said, you want to go out for a wacky quacky dinner?
Oh no. Honey, next time we go on a date, you have to ask me out on a wacky quacky date.
I bet you that's what Nadir says to his wife. Oh, honey, would you like to go out for a wacky quacky dinner tonight? On board games, Nicodemus says Axis and Allies. Wood plays that one too. That's one of T's favorites for sure. To me,
He has all of the expansions, all of the special.
Yeah, I mean, it takes hours and hours to play though.
I mean, he seriously has all of them though. Like the Guantanamo, like I mean, all of them. Like it's insane. There's like 8 of them. The kid's weird.
Rachel says you guys go hard on board games, legit gamers. I dub you both ultimate gamers. Well, thank you very much for your totally official title you have given us. FP says, nice to meet you, Crystal. Good night, all. When is the next Bible study? That'll be tomorrow night. Same time this was originally scheduled before I pushed it back. So about 1 hour earlier than this one started. Tomorrow night will be Bible study. Take good care, and still could use that clip of your Marvel. Yeah, sorry, I answered it because of this, which I thought I needed to address, but never mind. It was just about email address. So nothing for the chat there. Breakfast Gun says, what about chess? I haven't played chess in quite a number of years, but when I was a teenager, young adult, I played chess obsessively. So
I remember when we were first married, you would play it a lot on that website that had like the automatic scoring.
Yep, Fix, the free internet chess server. Still remember it. I haven't logged on in at least 15 years, but I do remember it. I think you meant I haven't watched Nadir's debate today. Did he stick to his standard arguments, i.e. Christians eat bats and are alcoholics? I didn't even know he had a debate, but I also can answer this with confidence. Yes. Super chat from Ecclesiastes.
Here's the sad news. We are running out of funds. All our work is going to stop unless people like you watching this video will help us. Your donations can get you a share in a reward. Reap those rewards for years to come, inshallah. This is not a donation or a charity, but an investment for your hereafter.
Says, don't 100% understand the pain you experience, and when people pretend to relate, I think of Biden lying about his son when he talks to soldiers' families, pretending to relate and understand. I totally get what you're saying there, and I appreciate the super chat, appreciate the support and the well wishes for my wife. Cheeky Shaky asks, is Mary writing a book? Don't quote me on this, but I think she's writing about between 5 and 10 books at any given time. Mary is a professional author, so she's writing many books. What you're no doubt thinking of is she's writing a book related to Islam, and she is writing a biography of Muhammad. So stay tuned. Now there's super chat from Jack Ray.
Early, and this is indeed a sign, yet most of them are not believers. Give alone to Allah, give alone to Allah. Ride the wings of Gabriel, give alone to Allah.
Ride those wings, Mr. Jack Ray, ride those wings. He says, do you use clay litter? I can only imagine the litter box cleaning.
Nope, we use clumping.
Yep.
I want to switch to that pretty litter stuff that's like the super absorbent crystals, but that stuff, when you have so many cats, would get crazy expensive. So I haven't switched yet.
Indeed, but the super cheap clay litter, nah, not for us. that would be impossible. That's hard enough with one cat. But the clumping litter is nice because you just scoop and you're done. It's not too bad. I mean, it just has to be done every day. But it only takes 5-10 minutes, so not a big deal. Asking about Mary's books, are they on Amazon? I'm sure they probably are, but she will not tell you what they are. So no point in asking. Professor Yaffle says, goat animation needed. I will note that we need some sort of goat animation to go with our cat animation and our dog animation. A goat eating a Quran, perhaps? Marion says that Lodbrook has stayed at home since he was surprised or ambushed by the extreme snowstorm in December and didn't make it back for 7 weeks. So I don't think I told you about this, Crystal, but Marion's cat was missing and assumed to be a goner. She asked for unreasonable people only to pray for her cat because no reasonable person could expect the cat to return, and then it returned about 2 weeks ago. So
oh my goodness.
we were all very excited about that.
Wow. Poor kitty. I have some friends whose cat is quite the escape artist, and Mr. Bing was missing for quite some time as well. But one of the neighbors, a neighborhood about half a mile down the road, ended up calling them because they scanned his microchip. He had squeezed himself out of their vent system, like he had pulled a vent cover off and managed to work himself through the AC system and ended up breaking a leg in the process. Like, not breaking a leg, he like detached his hip is what happened. So they found their cat at the end of it. I think it was like 2.5 months later, but ended up having
Who
to
ate the apple?
make major surgery afterwards.
So Jack Ray says, my cats don't like the crystals, don't inhale the fine dust when cleaning, wear a mask. So there you go. Some unexpected advice on kitty litter here today. Karyani asks when Mary will come up live Tuesday. every Tuesday and maybe some other days as well. But she'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be doing a reaction stream to a Muslim video. Days of Elijah says Artemis of the Thaddeus or Thaddeus, however you want to pronounce that. Enjoy that. Very nice. Villainous says, Crystal, does that mean that Thaddeus bought himself a computer and gave you a hand-me-down?
No, he actually got my hand-me-down. He got my old laptop that is slow and takes forever to boot up. And I got a very nice MSI sword.
Morgie says, a bit random, but can I ask if you guys could pray for my wife's salvation? I actually don't know if she's still a Christian. Deep inside, it all depends on if once saved, always saved is true, and absolutely, we can indeed pray for her. Villainous, you're here. Remind me to put that on the prayer list in Bible study tomorrow as well.
Didn't he already leave? He said he had to go.
Oh, well, then I'll write it down so I don't forget. I mean, I should write it down anyway.
Yes, you should.
All right, I wrote it down. I won't forget.
Okay, good. Yes, it was a mechanical hard drive. That's why it was slow.
Yes, Professor Yaffle, enchilada will work if you spell it right. Actually, it has been a little while since someone triggered that one. Have you seen the dancing enchilada?
No.
All right, someone trigger that. Right. So yes, if the chat could pray for Morgie and his wife, I'd appreciate that, and I will be praying as well. And there's super chat from Ecclesiastes.
Brothers and sisters, why to lose this great opportunity? Remember, when the person is on his deathbed, the last minute, he will ask Allah Jalla wa'ala to be delayed for 1 second to do what? Not to pray, not to do other things, but to give sadaqah, because sadaqah you can give it just like this, in 1 second.
It says, well, first of all, just 1 second to give your sadaqah. So thank you for spending that 1 second. There you go. There's the dancing enchilada. You'll see it on YouTube in a minute, but it's on the screen now. So Ecclesiastes says, Biden said the Maui wildfire was like a kitchen fire he had when no one died. Some try to be nice, and many are egomaniacs and compare raisins to watermelons. I assume this is in reference to your pain, right? That people will say, that's just like when I broke my wrist or something. It's like, well, I'm sure you were in a lot of pain, but it's not actually comparable. So there you go. And it's a little bit like comparing the Maui wildfire to a small kitchen fire.
What? The enchilada?
It's enchilada.
Uh-huh.
So Muslims say inshallah. So we made it inshallah instead.
Sometimes I really wonder about your mental health.
I think someone in the chat sort of half suggested it, and then I ran with it. So yeah, how to spell it? It'll accept a couple different spellings, but the preferred spelling is taking enchilada and replacing the middle syllable with Allah is the preferred spelling. But it'll take a couple different spellings because it knows that people will be like, I don't know how to spell that because it's not a real word.
I see you still have the dog making a funny face that you stole from the Instagram video I sent you.
Yeah, so she showed me that video. Well, actually, you didn't send it to me per se. So often before we go to bed, she'll show me a bunch of funny videos, and I said, Ooh, I'm looking for a dog animation for my channel. I need that one. Save that one.
It was originally the dog was sniffing a durian, and if you've never sniffed durian before, it smells like a rotten gym sock and a jock strap and Limburger cheese all melded together and made one smell. It's pretty awful, but it tastes amazing. I absolutely love durian. I am not allowed to have it in the house anymore, though, because I had it in the house one time and I eat it slowly because I don't buy it very often. And every time somebody would walk through the kitchen, they would be like, "Oh my gosh, it smells so bad. It's making the entire house stink." So, yeah, it was. I'm forbidden from having durian in the house now.
Alexander says we need to have a dog cam, but Mary says that our dog doesn't hang out when we stream. And also, she's previously said that her dog is neurotic and, and can't sit still. So there you go. Sir Dr. Whiteman says, OMG, it smells horrible and tastes worse, but I dated
No,
an
it's
Asian girl who loved it.
delicious. I love I love plain durian, like just raw. And then I also love durian ice cream. It's so good. Anyway.
Days of Elijah says, it was the perfect animation. So after he says she was 9 years old, a Muslim says, that was a stupid move because he's not really being arrested, but the police are escorting him away because before the crowd beats him to a pulp. And it was like, that was a dumb move, wasn't it? He's like, no, it was the perfect move. So that's what that's in reference
Oh,
to.
Mary, I've eaten balut too, and I thought it was delicious. I mean, once you get over the fact that there's like a tiny half formed duck inside it that you're eating, I mean, it's still tasty though. I think my
Alexander,
favorite form of egg though is a century egg. I love century eggs so much. I'll go and buy them at the Oriental grocery store nearby.
Alexander says, to be honest, I love all the animation. So I do sometimes get comments, primarily from people watching on a replay, that the animations are distracting and they don't like them. Well, too bad, right? I mean, I get it. If you're watching a replay, the animations are kind of silly to you because you're not interacting and causing them. They're there for the people who join live, and they're what make my streams unique. And if people don't like it, they don't have to watch my streams. Simple as that. They will be here to stay.
Hey, Jack Ray, I'm assuming you're talking about stinky tofu. I love stinky tofu. Basically, anything that smells bad, I think tastes good. It's just like cheese. The worse it smells, the better it tastes. I love stinky tofu, and I love. There was there's this Chinese soup called Fan. It's river snail rice noodles, and it smells horrific, but it tastes incredible, and I love it.
Breakfast Gun says, how about live octopus?
Been there, done that one too, and it's a little chewy, but yeah, I've eaten that one too.
And then Mary said, you don't like little boy piss eggs? Question mark.
Don't know. I'm gonna go with no. I've never heard of them.
Professor Galvin says, very observant. Thaddeus, his t-shirt is a different color, top versus bottom. And indeed, the auto white balance is quite different on these two different webcams. the main one is much more true to life. It's a much better camera, but This one looks nice and bright, doesn't it? The other one, the one with the cat, looks nice and bright. Sure, more true to life in the top cam, though. We tried to be animation respectful with animation when guests are on, and I did turn things off when Perfect Dawa was totally distracted and couldn't focus. So, I mean, I can turn them off if I need to. But really, you know, they're there for people who join live, and we have a good time with them.
Wasting your time on social media is one of the best deeds a Muslim can do. There's a huge need for it. You know this and I know this. So that makes the reward even greater. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
So thank you, Sheikh Boyardee, for that super chat and for wasting your time on social media again. I had a goat once, but it ate the religious document I was working on. That's a shame. Goats are known to do that.
It happened.
Haram! Don't do that, it's a sin!
Very haram to eat the scripture. That's why I totally boycott David Wood whenever he eats the Quran. Totally haram. Thank you again for that donation. STST says, your 19-year-old cat is like your wife. Both look very young. I'm sure Morgan would appreciate that compliment.
Boy, your channel's an ego boost for me. I'm going to have to come on more often.
Professor Yaffle says, live octopus? Surely not.
Yeah. I have done live octopus. I spent some time in China. I took the kiddo to China for their 16th birthday. And that's where I tried it. So it was delicious.
Dottie scientist Dr. Love says, I had frogs in Thailand. They call them mini chicken over there.
Oh, I ate a bullfrog when I was in, what city was I in China? We were in Wuxi. And it's literally a whole bullfrog on a stick. And they just give it to you. Like, they roast it on the grill and you pick your seasoning, and we just did cumin. So it was covered in cumin, and they just gave us this stick with a giant bullfrog on it, and it tastes incredible. I wouldn't quite say that it tastes like chicken, and I've had like regular frog too, but at a Chinese restaurant. But I wouldn't again say that they taste like chicken, but it's delicious, definitely.
He also asked, has anyone tried back cut tay? I'm guessing on the pronunciation there. But since it's transliterated, that's probably pretty close.
I have not.
Well, and I have no clue what that is, so there you go.
Thaddeus has a very picky palate, so I eat a lot of foods that he won't. I am going to assume that Thaddeus has I call it like a super taster palate, where he can taste a lot of things. Just because he seems to really hate a lot of flavors. And I think it's just because he's got it's more sensitive than most palate. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. So Mary put a link to her weird eggs in the chat, which I'll check out later, and says that even her Chinese husband hates them. So there you go.
Yeah, no, I'll stick to century eggs. Thanks, Mary. Century eggs over some tofu with some vinegar and some chili oil. Perfect.
Mary also asked, what about beetles?
I have eaten beetles.
Okay.
And the big giant grub worms.
Catholic 3 DOD wants to know if that lady on the bed is Reason's wife.
That lady on the bed.
Yes. We are in the same house. My streaming setup is in the basement. It is a small, cramped space. Wouldn't it be good to have multiple people here? And it's easier to have these chats when you're not next to each other anyway. So she's in our bedroom. I'm in the basement. But yes, she is my wife. Crystal is my wife. And she also said, at first I thought that Thaddeus was Mary's boyfriend or husband.
Oh. No, I'm pretty sure Mary's married to a Chinese guy.
Yep. I'm not Chinese, so definitely not me.
I'm not either, although my friends that own a Chinese restaurant call me the white Chinese girl.
Mary said they have beetles on a stick in China. So there you
Yes,
go.
they do. They do indeed. They'll put anything on a stick in China. You can sell it on
We
the
have a
street. It's easy.
rarity here, an actual question rather than people just saying random things about themselves and me turning them into questions. Days of Elijah says, "What is your favorite portion of Scripture?" And the phrasing of portion there, I think, is interesting. That kind of makes the question harder because it could be a favorite for a variety of different reasons. But I usually say that First John is my favorite book because it's so theologically dense and has so much going on there. Your thoughts,
Um,
Crystal?
my favorite verse is 2 Corinthians 4:7. Um, and beyond that, I really like to I like to read the book of Revelation just because it's so out there. Um, and it's just really fun. Um,
Couple.
yeah. Mhm.
Yes, you not so much anymore, but you used to be obsessed with Revelations.
Yeah, not so much anymore.
Whereas I'm like, Revelation, God wins. That's all I need to know. I don't
Oh,
need
they're
to like
still
go
talking
to.
about weird foods. Hold on. Duck tongue. Yep, I've eaten that one. Actually, I have some duck tongue in my freezer. Um, slugs. Yeah, no, don't eat those because they have rat lungworm and you can die. So I studied microbiology and biochemistry. So yeah, that's how I know that it's rat lungworm. Yeah, don't ever eat slugs. That's why you don't ever eat unwashed produce. Because if a slug um, defecates on your lettuce and you don't wash your lettuce, or that you're in trouble. You got to be careful.
Robert
Yeah,
says they sell rocks as street food in China. I'm not actually sure that's from China, but I did see that
it
on
is
Brazil.
from China, and it's not the rocks themselves; it's the
Right,
sauce
right,
on the rocks.
and it's more of a novelty thing, and
Yeah.
like many street things, like many street foods or whatnot. It's not because you want to eat a rock. It's because of the novelty of getting your food delivered on a rock, so to speak.
Hmm.
H.J. Evans said that they ate kangaroo.
That one I've never tried, honestly. Um, and to answer breakfast gun, yes, I do like spicy food. I love um, my favorite varieties of Chinese food are Szechuan and Hunan. Both are known for their spice. Um, the spicier, the better. Give me a super spicy hot pot, and I am happy.
Excellent, excellent. Professor Yaffle says, I tried a hairy caterpillar from a Zimbabwean street, spat it out politely.
Politely.
So you're very polite when you spit out the hairy caterpillar.
I think the weirdest thing I've ever eaten or drank is probably camel milk.
Not camel urine?
No, Camel milk.
Okay, just testing.
I have a friend who is Berber, and when she got married, I went to her wedding. And she was still, living with her tribe in northern Morocco. So I got to go to this really cool wedding. And, there aren't very many nomadic Berbers still left. Her family is still one of the few. They have, they have their tents and they set them up, they do what they need to do, and then after a while they pick it up and move somewhere else. It's pretty crazy. It was definitely an interesting experience, and I would love to go back. They are probably some of the kindest people I've ever met.
Couple comments on spiciness here, and this is I never trust the spicy label in America. It's mild as
Oh,
best.
totally. My friends that own the Chinese restaurant, every time I go in, I asked for my food spicy, and I'm like, but not American spicy. Can you make it Chinese spicy, please?
And that's exactly what Breakfast Gun said. Every time I order the spiciest food from an Asian place, they always double check and ask if I'm sure. And then they still give me the white man spicy.
Yeah, you have to tell them you want it Asian spicy because white man spicy is just sad.
Mary wants to know how camel milk compares to goat milk.
It's a little gamier in flavor and it's a little creamier in texture. I thought it was pretty tasty.
All right. Super chat from Jujubee.
Who ate the apple? You ate the apple. The whole apple. Yes, the whole apple. You ate it. But a small seed, you left it. You put it back into the earth. What happened? Allah, through His power, caused that to grow and to give you how many apples? Thousands.
Thousands. And that is the favorite of the chat. I think that's the first time it was triggered today. So letting Kristen know that's everyone's favorite. Well, that one and Ride the Wings of Gabriel are the two co-favorites. So we even have an apple animation as a result of that someone triggered earlier. So earlier when you randomly heard it say, "Who ate the apple?" That was because Sir Dr. Whitemeat triggered that. He said, "Do you know there are scientific miracles in the Quran? If you interpret the verse correctly," how I want to interpret them, Nadir argument say, you misspoke there slightly, Sir Dr. Whitemeat. What he would actually say is if you just read the facts, because Christians, they interpret. But Nadir, whose interpretation agrees with precisely no Muslims anywhere, he is just reading what the text says, and that's the facts. Christians don't know the difference between interpretation and facts. And yeah, that's how his argument goes. You nailed it. Thanks for triggering Who Ate the Apple and using it properly, unlike people who just trigger it for no reason and drive Anthony Rogers crazy. So Too Many Mary says, a goatier milk is what camel milk is.
Right?
And Frankly Garcia says, thankfully, being Hispanic, when I ask for spicy, I get spicy.
I started growing
Who ate the apple?
I started growing habaneros in my garden just so I could make my food as spicy as I wanted it to. I would love my favorite pepper that's not an Asian style pepper is a Scotch bonnet pepper, but I can't find seeds for it here because I live in the Midwest. And even if I ask for a Scotch bonnet, nobody knows what it is. And it's like a cousin to a jalapeno, except it has a little bit more of a, I don't want to say fruitier taste, but it does. It tastes a little sweet and fruity, but it's spicy as all get out because it's, the habaneros friend. Although honestly, I don't think habaneros are all that hot. I mean, I grew up in Texas, so take from that what you will.
H. says, here in Australia, we have bugs called witchetty grubs. It's a local Aboriginal delicacy. I had a chance, but didn't have the stomach to put a live animal in my mouth. So there you go. If you go to Australia, you can get witchetty grubs.
Interesting. I've never been to Australia, and I really want to go because I really would like to go to. I'm trying to remember the name of the town, Cooper Petty, I think. It's where they're like most of the town is underground because it's like opal mines. And I've always wanted to go. Maybe I'll get there eventually.
Una says, I'm half Mexican, worked in a Mexican restaurant, and the kitchen would give me food, but the white version. I used choice Spanish words on them. Then they gave me the Mexican spicy from then on. Awesome. So lots of talk on spiciness here today. Hey, someone predicted this would be a spicy stream. I bet you this is what you had in mind when you said it would be a spicy stream.
That's
Nicodemus
awesome.
said, which is spicier, Chinese spicy or Indian spicy?
Okay, let me think. Hold on. I'm gonna say Chinese spicy, just because the Szechuan spice is. I mean, it's so spicy that it numbs you. Yeah, Szechuan spicy. Chinese wins. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a spicy curry, but Chinese wins. Although my favorite Indian food isn't really all that spicy because korma is not supposed to be spicy. But
Breakfast Gun says, when he went to Australia, he just drank the beer. Safe choice there. Sir Dr. Whiteman says, I tolerate a lot of spice and have an aunt who is from Michoacan, Mexico, and she eats habaneros whole. I eat the hottest whenever I go. Haven't met a hot Asian dish that made me cry yet. So there you go.
yeah, I eat habaneros whole as well. I think they're delicious.
And Richard says, who ate the potatoes? I ate the potatoes.
I'm not really a potato person unless I'm making gamjatang. Then I have potatoes. Other than that, meh. But yeah.
I'm sorry.
Back to weird foods. I've eaten some weird foods in Mexico. I've eaten grasshopper tacos, and I've eaten ant eggs, escamole. It's tasty stuff, man.
Alexander says, I'm full Mexico, living in Mexico, having lived here all my life. I can't stand spice at all, not even the white man spicy. Eating here is difficult.
I have a Chinese friend who can't handle spice at all, and she grew up in Hunan. So what happened was when she graduated high school, she ended up moving all the way up to Heilongjiang province, which is where it's like stupid cold in the winter, where they get a crap ton of snow, and they don't really do spice up there. It's a more mild palate. She's like, I'm moving where I can actually eat the food.
Jack says, now I'm craving curry. Oh, man. And our Kitsune says that Anthony Rogers was predetermined to be bombarded by apples. And indeed he was. Anthony's a Calvinist, in case you didn't know. Nicodemus says, Janice sent an email to me and asked me to remind you. Not sure what's in it, but I sent one too, asking for help, trying to make a living more technically functional, attractive. Yes, absolutely. I started earlier today trying to catch up on email. I'm hoping to be caught up by the end of the month. So I don't expect a reply tomorrow, but hopefully within the next week, 2 weeks tops, I should be caught up. Jack Ray had a super chat.
O son of Adam, spend. I will spend on you. Give, then I will give you. It's difficult because you know what? These are my last few. As it is, the price is going up, the rand is going down, this is happening. Excuses. Those are excuses. You give and watch what Allah does.
And in response to a previous one, but Days of Elijah said, "Ride the wings of Gabriel. Yee-haw."
This is something that goes against the required elements of the Shahada.
Yeah, come on. The Muslim cowboy says that that's against the required elements of the Shahada. So you should not be riding the wings of Gabriel. Yeehaw. Thank you for that super chat, Jack Ray. Professor Yaffle says there's spices that are hot and spices that are flavorsome. Too much hit spice kills the delicious flavor.
Agree. I mean, you can kill something with too much garlic. So.
If you make a change to your YouTube name is the only way it can happen. I don't know what can happen when you change your YouTube name. Probably this wasn't directed at me, but I was like, that's a weird comment. I'm going to read it anyway. Our Kitsune is going to Mexico soon, so watch out for spice. Sir Dr. Whiteman says, I love habanero. Grew up eating salsa my grandfather made. That was 20 habaneros and 5 jalapenos. That's it. And put on all my food. I'm not sure that qualifies as a salsa if it's just peppers only, but if you enjoyed it, that's all that matters.
Sounds yummy to me.
Richard says, in the beginning, there was potato, and the potato was with Allah, and the potato is Allah. Very true.
Mary, have fun walking the puppers.
I have to take my moron on a walk.
Well, maybe she's walking the husband. I don't know. Have fun.
She said, and the husband is joining. It should have said, and the dog's coming too. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, so Crystal's not a streamer. We're not going to be here all night. I'll just take a few more of these comments before we wrap up. Naughty Scientist said, are you growing the beard for Allah? Cool look, though, brother. So why am I growing this beard, honey? Is it for Allah? Are you Allah?
No, he's growing the beard because I told him in November, because No Shave November, that he wasn't allowed to shave. And then the beard looked good, so I told him to keep it. And eventually, I'm going to get sick of it, probably like mid-March, and I'll tell him to shave it off. So, I needed a change. And I was tired of his stubble scratching my face every time we would make out. My skin is sensitive, and I would end up with red all over my face. It was annoying. So now he just has a soft, fluffy beard.
H.J. Evan asked, are all Calvinists predetermined to be able to groom awesome beards? I call those beards 5-point beards. I like it. Yeah, I'm not becoming a Muslim. I mean, I have a mustache, so it can't be a Muslim beard. It's got to be a Calvinist beard or something. So Nicodemus says, I found a Hog Calls video that might be good for your channel, or maybe too insightful. I'm using an audio clip for a soundbite. Do you want me to send it to you? Sure, go ahead. I am trying to keep the clips things that Muslims said for the most part, but go ahead and send it over and I'll take a look. After all, I play she was 9 years old, and that's not a Muslim talking. So Trinity asked, do you like metal music? I do. I don't listen to, I mostly listen to worship music, but I definitely went through a phase where I was listening to mostly metal music, and I still appreciate it. What about you, honey?
What, metal?
Yeah.
I love metal. Before I started listening to K-pop, I was mostly listening to death metal or I like black metal. But the problem with black metal is you have to be careful. When you hear a black metal song that you like, you have to do your research. Because with a black metal song, it could be, is the band Nazi? Is the band racist? Because you know that's just how black metal is. But mostly I listen to death metal. Um, so yeah, I really really like death metal. Mostly from Finland and Sweden. Those are the best ones.
I mean, in fairness, though, you pretty much only listen to Asian pop music these days.
Yeah, I listen mostly to K-pop and C-pop these days, or Mandarin pop, Mando pop. I I couldn't tell you if it's because I like the music more, or if it's because the boys are prettier. And I go to all the concerts. The concerts are definitely more fun. It's a lot more fun watching really hot guys dance than it is getting smashed in a mosh pit. I'll tell you that much. No,
Sir
no
Doctor,
reaction, really.
no reaction. Sir Doctor Whiteman says you aren't becoming Muslim. You are born Muslim. You're just reverting to Allah's death cult. True. True. Islam is the fastest shrinking religion because the vast majority of the planet are apostates from it, as we all know. Una says, we all know Thaddeus is a leer. The beard is totally for Allah. So this is a channel joke as well. I mean, it would really be pronounced liar, but some genius kept calling me a liar and misspelling it. So we now I say leer to distinguish between the correct pronunciation of liar, or correct spelling, I mean. Sir Dr. Whitemeat loves Pantera. Good to know.
Oh, Pantera.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. From my hometown.
Very nice. Very nice. Days of Elijah corrected us. The beard is not for Allah. It's for inshallah. Duh. So Una says, where are my goth Christians at?
I used to be one. You can ask hubby. I went through a goth phase. I wore corsets everywhere. Up until I got pregnant with the kiddo, and then I couldn't wear the corsets over the pregnant belly, so I stopped, and I haven't put on one since. Really. Yeah, black lipstick, too much black eyeliner. I even dyed my hair black at one point. That was a mistake. Yeah, I was goth for a very long time, and the music was great too. We had some friends that did really great, like kind of goth rock kind of sound band, and it was a blast. We even took the kiddo to one of their concerts when he was 2 months old. Granted, he had earplugs, so I mean we weren't going to hurt his ears, but yeah.
Yep. When Crystal and I were dating and first married, we both dressed goth. You might never imagine that from me, but in fact, in my case, it was my obsession with movie Matrix that got me into it rather than music. But then I did get into the music as well. So there you go. And Alexander says, oh man, I'm getting flashbacks to my goth phase. It was fun though.
I'm pretty sure almost everybody has a bit of a goth phase. Our kid wants to buy goth clothes, so they're going through a goth phase right now too.
And then there's a couple comments about lyrics being satanic and whatnot. I wouldn't say, I mean, there might be a few that are satanic. Now, I would say that a lot of the lyrics are inappropriate and definitely not edifying, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say satanic specifically, but I think there's some value in monitoring what you're taking in, because your thoughts can be influenced by what you're listening to. I'm not saying you can't listen to pop music or goth music or any kind of secular music. I'm just saying that be conscious of what you're taking in.
Hey, hubby, do you remember our first date concert?
Of course.
Our first date was to a concert because one of my favorite bands, actually, they're still my favorite band. Hold on, Apollo. Let me turn this on so you guys can see what Stupid Orange is doing.
Jack Ray says, I was a nonconformist to nonconformity, meaning he never was a nonconformist, I guess. And our Kitsune says, goth that is. I'm sorry, but I'm getting disturbed a bit. Nonconformists were too conformist for me. That's true. All right. So we got the meow cam in addition to the cat cam. What's happening on the meow cam?
Apollo is attacking the ring light.
We need that. That light makes her beautiful.
Apollo, give me my ring light back. Oh, now he stopped. Turd. Stop being orange. Are you done being orange? Okay, now he's going to give himself a bath. But as you can see, the light is now slanted and facing the wrong direction. Yay for cats. All right.
All right. So a quick question here from me, from Morgie. 3, 2, 1. There was a Muslim you talked to before, Imran. Yes, that's correct. His name is Imran. He was one of the few Muslims who doesn't say that the Bible is corrupted. We'll be back for another stream. Yes. So he's one of many people that I was supposed to get back to and haven't recently. The two of us had a chat. He wanted to do it as recorded as opposed to a live stream because he understandably felt that the live chat was distracting and not beneficial to us having a back and forth conversation, which is fine. We had a long chat on how he understands the Bible, right? So, I mean, we first did how he understands the Quran, which is not counter to how a Christian would understand it, really. And then we did a long talk on how he understands the Bible. After I listened to all his stuff and pushed back. Well, no, sorry, I remember now. He wanted to do it as him asking me questions, right? And I'll be perfectly honest, I was disappointed. There were a lot of the standard Dawa talking point lines, like if Jesus, he didn't say like if Jesus is God, why does he? Where does he say worship me, right? But he did like go to the typical passages, like Jesus quoting the Old Testament that there is no God, or I mean that Yahweh is one, right? That God is one. And so why would he say that and stuff like that? There were all the standard places you'd go, and so I answered every one of these, and then when at the end I was supposed to make my case for God being Trinitarian, and as soon as I started to go there, started to make the case, then he was like, well, you're going to unclear passages. The ones I cited are the clear passages. Like, he didn't give me the same, even though all his things were just standard talking points. I gave him the respect of listening and responding properly. And then when it was my turn, he didn't have the same respect for me. So we both agreed that it would be better to take a step back and have a discussion about how one properly interprets text rather than having this back and forth on those first. Like it'd be better, more beneficial to the audience to have that discussion first. So I need to get back to him on scheduling that. I have the other thing, it's recorded. It will be released sometime, but that's where we stand on Imran. So yes, he'll be back. It's all on me, not on him, that we have not been on. Marco says, that is, you're a lucky man, you. She is lucky too, brother. Well, thank you. I agree. I'm definitely very lucky to have Crystal. I guess I could say I agree she's very lucky to have me too. So she's not jumping in.
I am lucky. I agree.
Most people said they couldn't imagine me as Goth, but Professor Galva says, yeah, I can definitely imagine Thaddeus as a Goth. So.
I wonder if I could find an old photo.
Rachel says, that's hilarious. Stop being orange. So the phrase stop being orange is hilarious.
I mean, seriously, the cat, you know, there is that saying that all orange cats share the same brain cell. And as I've had an orange cat, I find it to be true. I have never seen a cat as stupid as this one. We have these cat houses. Here, I'll put my phone back up so you can see it. So I gotta zoom. So we have this cat house that's a spaceship, and the cats have chewed it to pieces.
Not the cats.
Apollo. I'm going to go get closer to it. Give me a minute. All right. So this is the cat house. It's like a fun little cat lounger. Looks like a rocket ship, but you can see there's chunks of cardboard missing because this one likes to take bites out of it. Oh, Demeter just went inside. Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. He's always doing the stupidest things. Fix my light while I'm up. Don't mess with it again, doofus. Oh, now I gotta get back into my comfy, cozy spot. Okay.
Our Kitsune. Therapist. Goth Thaddeus doesn't exist. He can't hurt you. Goth Thaddeus exists. And Professor Yaffle says, the reason that she could imagine me that way is because I knew very smart people who are Goths in the 80s. Well, thank you. And Nicodemus wants to know if Apollo or Orange is still looking for the leather straps of the anus.
I think probably.
So Resif Ben L says Judges 11:24 is my favorite Bible verse. What are your thoughts on that verse? So 11:24. Well, you not possess what Chemosh your God gives you to possess, all that the Lord our God has disposed before us, we will possess. So my thoughts on this are that there is nothing special or secret hidden message going on here. The fact that the Hebrew is often left untranslated has led people to say that like this is some like secret key to understanding the Bible, and I don't know if this is a serious comment or a joke or what, but my thoughts is there's nothing interesting going on here, and as in this verse specifically, it's just part of the narrative of journeying through the wilderness, and various different place names are being mentioned here, and that's all that's going on. So that's my thoughts on that. Sir Dr. Whitemeat, how do you cope with all the knowledge you've gotten thanks to researching Islam? For me, it took a while to comprehend that I've been lied to, that Islam and its book are peaceful. So I actually did a stream on this some time ago on what I think it was titled something like what I learned about Islam, or as a Christian studying Islam, this is what I've learned, or something like that, on Lloyd's channel. And it is interesting, right? Because before I began to research Islam, I would have more or less supported all the standard claims about Islam. I had no reason to doubt them. I would have thought, I mean, of course, I thought Muhammad was a false prophet. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I thought it was credible or something. And I had some basic reasons why it was false. But I certainly would not have said what I would say today, and that is that it's intentionally demonic. It's specifically designed to be counter-Christian. And while the average Muslim you meet is not intending to worship the devil or something, that's exactly what makes it such a perfect anti-Christ religion, because it takes a lot of true things, appealing things, and then mixes it with explicit denial of the gospel. In other words, it's the most offensive package possible. So how have I dealt with this, right? How have I coped with this? Well, how I've coped with this is I made a YouTube channel. I mean, joking aside, I think that, you know, this is what God has called me to do. I would not have imagined this for myself. I became interested in Islam because it's a history-based religion like Christianity is, and but I wouldn't have imagined being a public speaker or even about Christianity, let alone about Islam, which I didn't know anything about before God led me to this. And then I knew it would happen after I said, thank you for not misusing Apple. Frankly, just triggered Apple with no comment. So there you go. Easy one from Richard. What is the shortest verse of the Bible? So this is usually answered with Jesus wept, as Jack Ray did. That's not actually true in Greek, though.
Yeah, I was going to
Only in
say it's
English.
not the shortest in Greek, is it?
No, it's not, and I don't remember what it is offhand. But the real thing is the verse numbers are completely arbitrary. They have no actual meaning, so it's meaningless trivia. Arkitsune, I've read some of his other comments, but this was his first comment. I just jumped in because I'm from Belgium. Are you sometimes worried or fearful of the safety of Thaddeus or your household seeing the type of work Mr. Reasoned Answers does?
Sometimes I see the threats and violence that other people that are in the community get, and I wonder if my husband is going to be a victim of that too. Um, Hopefully, it won't ever happen. But I mean, Thaddeus uses his real name. We've mentioned before what state we live in. With that information, it would be pretty easy to figure out our address. Um, it would be really simple to find us. So, I mean, that's that. It would
So,
be really easy.
crystal advertising for the Muslims listening. But I mean, that's our answer, right? And my answer is that if I didn't have a family, I would care exactly zero, right? And I would care exactly zero about any threats. I do worry slightly how it would affect my family if I was attacked, but it doesn't. I know where I'm going, right? I'm secure in my destiny. I'm doing God's work, and I'm not afraid of the consequences of that. Plus, to be perfectly frank, the United States is very safe. The risk is extremely, extremely small. It's not like I'm living in Pakistan and saying these things. Uh, I don't really think that there's any real risk. I mean, I'm like 1% as provocative as David. David's been doing this 20 years, and he's had like one or two serious threats in his career. Both times the FBI was on top of it and stopped it before anything could happen. So I'm not really that concerned, to be perfectly honest. I'd be like target number 500 on the list of top targets.
As
Adam
for
Seeker in the
myself,
chat. Good.
as for myself, like I'm dying anyway, so hey, take me out, whatever.
Adam Seeker in the chat. Oh wow, Thaddeus and his wife. You bet, Adam. If you speak Urdu, turn into Adam's Urdu stream tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be epic, as it always is. When he was on last week, he said that he was going to start picking up the English channel again. So I'm looking forward to. I think he probably had one this past Monday based on his comment, but I didn't have a chance to check. But I definitely am looking forward to trying to catch those on Monday because I love Adam. He does awesome work. H7. Thanks for the laugh. One Muslim recently tried to convince me that Islamic tradition is more reliable than academic research into history. That's amazing. How in the world is that even possible?
Wow.
I mean, I think most Muslims wouldn't even try to claim that tradition is infallible. Yeah, I mean, they'd claim the Quran is, but that's not tradition. Amazing stuff. Just commented, but going back here, if you like stinky food, the stinkiest food I've tried was a Chinese duck egg. It smelled like rotten urine, but because I bought it, I tasted it, and it tasted like it smelled. I threw it away. I thought that you put a but there, which means you think you're going to say, but after I ate it, it was delicious. But in fact, that's not what you said at all.
Was it okay? It may have been a century egg. Was the egg white like gelatinous and the yolk had turned black, and the white was like greenish colored and dark and weird looking? If so, that was a century egg, and I think they're delicious. Um, they're like covered in clay and buried underground to age. And yes, they do get pretty ammoniated, but they're tasty.
Thank you. Yep, and Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time, tune in to Adam. I plan to do that next week, inshallah, or enchilada, whichever. Arab Habsi says to a robot, did you accept Islam, bro? And if the robot did accept Islam, it would be like the typical person who does, completely unthinking in any way and totally ignorant of what Islam teaches. So I guess in that sense, it's a possibility that my bot could accidentally accept Islam. Super chat from Sir Dr. Whitemeat.
And Allah will bless you in a million ways. You find the tree will grow and you will have lots and lots of wealth. This is the example that we gave to the children. And I'm letting you know that when you sow that seed by giving, you shall receive much more than you gave by the will of Allah. Give as much as you can, for indeed you will reap much more than you have sown.
So Dr. Whitemeat will be reaping much because he has sowed much. God bless you all, he says. Thank you very much for your financial support. Just about to wrap up, so if you have any last minute questions, be sure to get them in. Rachel asks about the egg. What does it taste like, though, besides ammonia?
It's like the taste of an egg yolk, like super concentrated, is the best way I can describe it. it's generally added to porridge or, yeah, you don't eat it on its own generally. But yeah, I like to put it on top of my tofu and put black vinegar over the top.
Rachel says insha Jesus, which is fine. So inshallah means if God wills, which I think it's okay for a Christian to say that even without changing it in any way. Especially since it's become a used to mean yeah right kind of deal in the Arabic speaking world, among the youth, not among the old religious generation, but among the youth, basically is used as slang for like yeah right, that's not going to happen. Which I think is completely appropriate. If you're saying if Allah wills it, it'll happen, because Allah doesn't will anything. And as long as we're advertising stuff, Nicodemus, every Sunday at 2 p.m., movie reviews with Amir Z. The Sunday most influential flicks and our favorites. Come share your favorites with us too. We'll see what I can do. I will see what I can do. Love is my religion says, hi Thaddeus, just joined your stream. Here's one for your missus. It was a choice between two things, Eve or paradise. Adam acted wise. He took Eve as his wife. A very sweet thought.
Okay.
It's weird, right? It's weird to say.
I don't understand what he's asking, but
I mean, it's not like theologically sound, but what he's saying is like if he could, Adam could choose between being alone in the garden, or he could choose to be with Eve as his wife.
yeah,
Chose to be with Eve, and we're created that way, right? We're created to live in partnership.
yeah, we're not created to be alone. Kitsune asked, I made the comment that I'm dying anyway, and Kitsune asked,
Yeah, I was gonna.
Sorry, go ahead then.
I have that saved. That'll be right after this one.
Okay.
Has your wife coming to stream often and now debating Muslims as well? I don't know what made you bring her to a live stream. I just joined. We'll watch from beginning later. No, so she's not coming normally. This wasn't about debating Muslims. It was just she wanted to have an opportunity to kind of see what I mean, she can see what I do, but experience it firsthand and get to know the regulars in chat and just kind of hang out. So it won't be a regular thing. I don't think she has interest in getting into the nasty debates that we have sometimes. But she does watch the streams from time to time, and she does find some things funny. And when an unusual cat comes, I tell her that, and she watches that. So just a hangout today. All right, so from our Kitsune, we will always keep you in our prayers, Thais. What do you mean, Mrs. Reason Answer? Are you feeling ill?
Can you pronounce her name properly or their name properly? Kitsune.
I said Kitsune. That's what I said. I do not hear a difference between what you said and what I said.
Okay, well, it cut off then because I didn't hear Kitsune. Nine-tailed foxes are cute. Kumiho's better though. Anyway, yeah, I'm sick. I guess it's the best way to put it. I talked earlier in the stream about how I have a rare condition called complex regional pain syndrome, and that's not necessarily why I said I'm dying. It has caused some complications. I now have a condition called multiple system atrophy, where my nervous system is basically dying. And it's my autonomic nervous system that's dying. So the part of your nervous system that controls all necessary function. So digestion, heart rate, blood pressure, basically everything important, breathing, etc. My nerves in that section are slowly dying. Generally, people live about 6 to 10 years after diagnosis. So, yay me! That's all. But I joke about it because I don't really care. Because, like Thaddeus has mentioned before, I know where I'm going, so it doesn't bother me. Um, and yeah, I'm not bothered in the slightest.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been married 20 plus years, and although Crystal didn't always have her current conditions, she's always kind of been under a death sentence from the entire time I've known her. So when we get a new diagnosis recently, that life expectancy of 5 years, I'm like, that's what they said 20 years ago. So uh, I'm, I mean, just take it one day at a time, and I'm at peace with it. And uh, if God takes her tomorrow, I'm fine with that. And if we live together for another 20 years or 30 years or whatever, I'm fine with that as well. Rachel says, Crystal, you are going to start debating Muslims because it's kind of like a PUBG with talk. And you said you loved PUBG. So.
Okay, but see, in PUBG, I've actually killed somebody with a frying pan. So unless I'm allowed to bring my frying pan to the chat and hold it while I'm debating, it doesn't quite have the same.
I mean, have you seen Mary go off on a Muslim? I
I
mean, it's
have,
kind of like a lady with a frying pan.
I have. uh,
And Richard, good joke to end on here. Where are you going with the donkey? Someone asks Muhammad. Muhammad says, it's not a donkey, it's a horse. Person says, I know that. I was asking the horse.
no, I think Villainous has the best spot to end on. Sorry.
She isn't bothered because 22 years of Thaddeus is enough. I mean, I've been married to Crystal more than half my life, so she's been with me longer than anyone else, longer than my parents, longer than my son. So maybe she is saying it's enough. It's enough. Take me home, Jesus. All right. Yes, Scary Mary. When Scary Mary comes out, the Muslims run away. They are all afraid of her. And yeah. Yeah, Arab Habibsi says, Faz, you didn't introduce me to Crystal. I am the real Islamicist of this chat. So he comes in and he gives these great comments that read just like a Muslim. It actually took us a long time to figure out that he was not a Muslim. So he comes in with these over the top, ridiculous statements that sound like something a Muslim would say. So we love him. He's great.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you all for joining us today. As mentioned earlier, I'll have a Bible study tomorrow evening, starting similar time as this one, but a little bit earlier than this one starts. So whatever time that is for you is what time we'll be starting, 8 o'clock Eastern, but obviously most of you don't live in Eastern time. So whatever time that is for you, whatever this stream was, it was like we started at like 8:45, so 45 minutes earlier. And this one is the time that we will be on the Bible study. That'll be on the Reasoned Worship channel. I'm who knows, maybe I'll be joining Nicodemus on Sunday. We'll see about that. Maybe I'll be joining Adam on Monday. I don't know. We'll see about that. But on Tuesday, for sure, I will be back with Mary. And we're taking a break from our in depth look at Muhammad, the prophethood, so-called prophethood of Muhammad, and we'll be reacting to a funny Dawa video instead. Hopefully get some really good things scheduled coming up. I know I won't announce what exactly, but I'll have David Wood on for a very funny stream very soon. I not haven't said exact date, but when that stream happens, you'll know what I was talking about because it's unmistakable what it is. Hoping to get some Muslim guests on for debates, or not really debates, but chats very soon. And I have lots of ideas. It's just I haven't exactly been good about scheduling them. So we'll get some things scheduled. Love as My Religion says your wife should be on the stream on a regular basis. That should help her in her recovery process. And we'll definitely consider getting her on more. I won't commit her, but I will certainly invite her. Thank you all for joining us today. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon, whatever time it is where you are. Until we meet again, God bless everyone. Go and serve the Lord.